become best friends. Yep.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I'm glad to have you all here. Hello, Raven. Hello, HK. We're so glad to have you all here. Hi, my lovely Meso in the chat. Hi, Mink. I hope you guys spent some time with my sister in her stream yesterday for her birthday. It was her birthday yesterday. So I celebrated my birthday yesterday, and it was also her birthday yesterday. February is a busy time for our family. But I'm so glad to see you all here. This is going to be episode 17 of the Thick and Spooky Ghouls podcast, and I'm so excited about it. So, we actually don't have Mojo today, but we do have the amazing Melty, who was willing to fill in for us, and I'm excited to hear her topics. And this is going to be the Cursed Movies episode with a couple unique West Virginia cryptids. I think she said West Virginia. Virginian Cryptids, yes, one of them. Yes, that is great. Hello, Mink. Prehistoric planet is the definition of peak. Oh, all right. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to see the lovely, lovely ladies? This is gonna be our first VTuber guest, by the way. First VTuber guest. Hello, hello, hello. How are you two? We've got the amazing Melty with us, and of course, the adorable Meso.
Hello.
It'd be a great time to lose my voice right in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
of course.
Can't believe it. Can't believe it.
I certainly can.
Yeah. For those of you guys that don't know, we had a episode published on Spotify, on YouTube today for the Thick and Spooky Ghouls podcast. So if you guys were wondering, there's the Spooky Slumber Party. So it's our first one, and it's basically me and Meso having story time before bed. So the Spooky Slumber Party part 1 is now live on Spotify and YouTube. It's not going to be here on Twitch, you guys, so you guys have to go to those other things to get them. And basically, we hear Meso talk about the Great Filter. So it's a pretty fun theory, and we really had a good time with it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. For the episodes that we don't have a guest, or we don't have enough episodes for each month, we're going to have the Slumber Party episodes between those, and that's when we're going to be publishing a pre-recorded topic about something that we're talking about, so we can keep with our weekly publishings on Spotify. So that's what they're there for. So for the days that we're short, some like short content for Spotify, that's when you're going to see the Spooky Slumber Party. So it's just a little segment, and it's literally just me and Meso having story time before bed and talking about things that don't quite fit in the podcast, but kind of fits in the podcast kind of thing. So it's a good time. It's a good time. But welcome in.
Fabulous time.
Oh, I had such a good time. And when I edited it, it was like an hour and 30 minutes long.
Oh, goodness. I hope you guys like content.
And there's our adorable Melty. God, I love your model. Your
Hello.
model is so pretty.
It's so cute.
Hi. Thank you. I work hard on these, and by work hard, I mean I literally spent like 15 minutes before the show putting this thing together. But yeah, hi.
Hi.
Welcome,
I
welcome.
love your choker. Your choker is so pretty.
Thank you.
Is that a rose? Is that like a purple rose choker?
No, it's my oh god, what the hell is it called? My black collar badge. You remember the one you made me?
Oh yes. Oh my
Aw.
goodness. I can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here. If I like lean forward, does that kind of help show it off a bit? It probably doesn't, right?
It's
I
okay.
feel like
You
I
look
can see it a
cute.
It
little
doesn't do
better.
shit. You can't see shit on that. Ah, Christ. But no, that's what that is. Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys are you don't know, I gave a shout out to Melty for those of you guys that want to follow Melty. She's a part of the Black Collar Collective
Hello.
along with Meso. And so yeah, they're a part of that group and it's been a good time so far. We've got Meso who's going to start us off with our topics today. Then we're going to take a break and then we're going to get to hear Melty's cryptids.
Yes.
Did I say West Virginia? Was that wrong or
Yeah. No, you're right. It is
Okay.
West Virginia. Yeah.
I'm like
Because goddamn, we got a lot. We've got a lot.
yeah.
There's a lot out here.
Here, where I live, we don't have any. We have to go like 2 to 3 hours away till we can find a place with a cryptid. You know, we've either got to
Pretty
go.
sure there's one that my fucking alleyway that keeps going through my shit, or maybe that's just a hobo. I don't know. I'll find
Hey,
out.
it could be the night crawlers. The night crawlers could be
hobo, who
going through
knows?
your garbage.
Well, my sincerest
invasive.
apologies. And I have nothing for them.
And what did we have here in the chat? I'm just making sure I'm caught up. Hello, Mink. I love the waving emoji. And then Raven is eating foods. I ate cucumbers right before this. So I had a cucumber snack right before the podcast because I knew it was like, I don't know how long it was going to go, but I wasn't quite hungry. So I'm like, I'll just have a snack,
Yeah,
a
eat
cucumber
something.
snack.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a bunch of breakfast foods today to help with the hangover. 'Cause, you know,
Yeah.
that's the best way to fight it. Just a bunch of breakfast food on top of it.
Yeah,
Slop on slop.
we celebrated the birthday yesterday. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really a lot of fun, and it was nice to hang out with Birdie. Except for now, Birdie feels sick, so I'm a little stressed out. I hope she's gonna be okay. But yeah, we had fun.
Oh.
But karaoke was unfortunately not in our daily plan because they wouldn't rent us out the karaoke room because another birthday party on my birthday party booked the karaoke room until 7 p.m. So I was just
Sorry.
like, so we're just gonna go to karaoke next week on Saturday. So it's okay. It's fine. We're just gonna have a late karaoke birthday thing. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not.
I'm glad you guys had a
angry or
good time for your
upset
birthday
about it at
dinner.
all. Yeah. Well,
Birthdays.
yeah. My sister and I went this morning to go get our free Dutch Bros birthday coffees. So we got to have our coffees this morning from there, and then we went and grabbed some In-N-Out burger and pigged out on some burgers. So
Very nice.
actually,
This
cheeseburgers.
was like a good afternoon.
So, my lovely Miso, what do you have for
Yes.
us?
Well, today I have a little cursed movie called The Exorcist, which I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but pretty famous movie, right? Pretty famous. I remember that's probably one of the first horror movies I saw growing up was The Exorcist, along with like, Army of Darkness and that what have you. Something my dad watched a lot, my mom also used to watch. But like I said, I'm pretty sure The Exorcist is a movie we're all familiar with. It's an incredibly iconic horror movie, not only to horror fans like myself, but cinephiles alike. It was revolutionary. Already starting with the tongue tie-in. Love that for me. It was revolutionary with its scares and special effects. Because again, I don't know, there's so many scenes from The Exorcist I can remember vividly in my brain because they were so like, holy shit, crazy. Um, and they hold up even to this day. Like I watched The Exorcist very recently, even before, deciding to do this, and it was still really good. Not really scary anymore because, I'm an adult now. I've seen a lot of horror movies and, but it's definitely unsettling still, especially because it's like a child, being corrupted
Yeah, the
and,
scariest part
possessed.
about that movie, I'm sorry, but the scariest part
No, go
about
ahead.
that movie is the fact that it was loosely based off of a real story. So for me, that's the scary part because you guys
Yeah.
know I I don't fuck with demons. I believe in them and I'm scared of them and I don't fuck with demons and I
And they
don't
can just
like
stay out.
possessions. Not a fan, not a fan. So The Exorcist is scary because of the fact that it's loosely based off of a true story, which, ugh.
Yeah. Would be an actual nightmare. I can't fucking imagine that at all, honestly. But you can see the influence it's had on other horror movies throughout cinema history. But it was also like highly controversial when it was released, especially. Not only was there controversy with religious groups, but rumors of audience members getting sick and fainting when viewing it, and on-set accidents, mysterious fires, and even a murder taking place while the film was being made. All these
What?
things caused, yeah, all these things caused some people to believe The Exorcist itself was cursed.
Yeah.
So that's what we have today.
Yeah, cursed
Little
movies and
spooky
West
Exorcist vibe.
Virginia cryptids that most of you guys probably have never heard of. I haven't even
Well,
heard of them yet.
probably not. If you're a fan of the game Fallout 76, you will be familiar with, I think, all three of these, but one of them you might know by a different name.
Ooh, but I definitely played a good hunk of 76
Oh,
for
I know
sure.
you did.
Oh, we're gonna learn
I
about
know you
them.
did. We're
Okay,
gonna learn today, folks.
so when was this movie made? Do we have
So
when?
The Exorcist. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was waiting for you.
Oh, The Exorcist was released back in 1973. And was filmed over a 9-month period. The main set was built in a warehouse in New York, and there were a few different incidents and accidents that took place on set that plagued production. It was really hard to get consistent filming done because there's just so many crazy ass accidents and things that cause delays constantly. The set caught fire is one of the biggest delays that they had. It actually was like what caused the biggest delay was the set catching on fire, the one in New York, in that warehouse, and it caused a big delay in filming. Now, luckily, no one was killed during the fire, as it occurred like at nighttime. Nobody was there. Everybody was all set, but almost the entirety of the set that they had built burned to the ground, except for Regan's room. Obviously, Regan is the little girl who gets possessed in the movie, the main actress. The fire was said to have been caused by bad electrical circuit. They rebuilt the set, but as soon as it was done, the sprinkler system broke down, and that destroyed a bunch of things that they just rebuilt, causing another 2-week delay before they could resume filming.
Mink has a question. Mink asked,
I
"Didn't?"
will.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Mink asked, "Did a girl break their back when she needed to act and as she was possessed? Like, did like there's
Yeah, there's going to be some information on that later
okay.
on
Well,
for certain.
we'll wait on that, Minky.
Ooh.
Ooh, scary.
So I had to do the scary noise from
Scary.
oh my gosh, what is that stupid cartoon? Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy now. I hope you guys like a delay in the podcast because I can't think of a name of an old cartoon.
Well,
Harvey Birdman. Haha, I remembered it. Attorney at law. But yeah, another as soon as it was done being rebuilt, sprinkler system goes to ape shit, destroys a bunch of the set again. They have to rebuild whatever it was destroyed again, causing another 2-week delay. And during the rebuild of the set, multiple contractors were injured, and in general, during the rest of the filming, members of the production, actors were injured, cast members, family members died, and even some of the people working on the film also died. Either during or shortly after the filming was complete. Now, Linda Blair Reagan, the little girl, the main actress, who gets possessed, her actual grandfather, died during the filming. An actor who appeared in the film died soon after. His name was Jack McGoran. He played not Dirk. I just put his two names together. Burke Dennings. That's who he played. He was killed in the film and actually ended up dying shortly after filming from influenza, so the flu. And then there was another actress named Vasiliki Malarios, who played the mother of the young priest, Father Karras, in the film. And she died in February of 1973, so like right after the movie came out, pretty much. But keep in mind, she was an older lady. She was 89 years old,
Yeah.
and it said that she died of natural causes. But both of them died very shortly after the film or the movie was released. Um, Now the main older priest, Max von Sydows, I can't pronounce names today. Sidos. His brother died. And, his real life brother died on the very first day of filming. And Max himself, well, he got very sick during filming. And luckily, he survived. He was fine, but he got really, really sick. And his brother died on the first day. Jason Miller, who was Father Karras, the young priest, his young son, Jordan, was struck by a motorcycle
Oh God.
on a pretty much empty beach. And it appeared out of nowhere. Like I said, the beach was pretty much empty. The boy almost died, but survived luckily. But obviously, that shook him real bad because holy crap, you're just hanging out on the beach on a motorcycle, wails your son when there's no one around, and that's just like, what are the odds? And something Mink was just talking about earlier, Linda Blair, Reagan, little girl, she got a pretty significant back injury from the corset that they like lace you into so that she could. I don't know if you guys remember the scene where she's like flopping on the bed up and down, like,
Yeah. Did
front and
not like
back,
it.
just really fast.
Didn't like it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, yeah, but say that scene, the lacing on her corset that holds her in place for them to be able to do that, to control that motion, was not sewn, like, wasn't closed all the way and came loose even more. And it ended up
Oh
flopping her
no.
really, really hard. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
you
Oh.
can't
horribly
be
hard. And
doing
she was
that, man.
screaming and crying. And they're like, oh, she's acting
Oh
her ass off right now. But
no.
she actually fractured her lower spine.
Oh
Um,
God.
Yeah, she literally fractured her lower spine as a child, and she's crying and screaming. And if you're like, oh, well, they certainly would have taken her for medical treatment, you're wrong. They did not. They did not seek medical treatment for her until later. I don't even think it was them. I'm pretty sure
Interesting.
it was just like her mom or like, outside the
When was
thing. They
this
didn't
film? Hold
stop.
on. When was this filmed? 19
1973. Well, so 1971, 1972, it took about 9 months, came out in 73.
So apparently the fucking Hollywood
Regulations,
did
yeah.
not care about
We're
their
actually gonna talk
employees
about that a little
as
bit
far back
too.
cuz like mine the
Mhm.
same situation but
Yep.
1939. So for me it's just like ooh 39
Regulations
till
were
79.
not strict.
That's a long time to
Thank
not
your
take care of
local
your
ocean
cast.
inspector, folks.
That's
Ooh.
what I'm saying, yeah, and that's something we're gonna talk about actually is, some of the non-existent regulations and how that may have affected things.
Mm.
But like you said on your film too, was a big issue with lack of regulations.
Not only that, but they
Um,
didn't take care of their cast. Like they did
no, they didn't
not.
care. No, they wanted to do whatever they had to do in their minds to make it a perfect movie, even if it was at the cost of the people working on it.
Yep.
So, no,
Good old
love that.
Hollywood.
Oh, and also, if you go and watch the movie and you see how she's crying and screaming in that scene, because there's,
Genuine
that's the
footage.
footage. Yep, that's the footage that they kept was the scene where she actually broke her spine or fractured her lower spine is a scene they kept in the movie. Because
Oh,
it
I'm
was
not gonna
so
be able to watch
good.
this movie the same way ever
It's
again.
just
Like
great fucking acting, huh?
Yeah, they were
I'm
like,
never
damn,
gonna be
she's
able to
good.
watch this movie and think that like I
It's
that will
rough,
forever be
yeah.
in my brain now.
And I thought that was incredibly brutal, especially because she was so young. God, she was like 14 or something. I don't remember how old she was in the making of the movie, but it was very young, between like 12 and 15, I wouldn't say. I want to say 14 or something. Um, and then Ellen Burstyn, the actress who played Reagan's mother, was also in a harness that would allow, if you guys remember the scene where Reagan's like on the bed, she slaps her mom and she flies across the room. Well, she uh yeah, she was hooked up to a harness that would allow her to do the action of flying across the room, make it look real. And we're going to touch more about horrible regulations right here, actually. The director, William Friedkin, who, let's say, had a controversial way of filming, wasn't liking the shots they were getting. So he told the man who was controlling the pulley system attached to the harness to really give it to her, really, really pull the shit out of her and do it earlier than the countdown or whatever, the indication that they were going to pull you. And that's what he did. So they yank her super hard, kind of like surprising her because it's sooner than it was supposed to be. And she also ended up getting her back injured pretty badly. It didn't say it was broken or anything; it just said she was laid up for several weeks. But they fucked her up, and she was an older, not old lady, but she was, 40 somewhere in there. She wasn't like even as young as Reagan, where uh, chance of healing if something gets broken like that. I feel like you really putting the older you get, to you hurt your back and shit like that, you're gonna be looking at serious issues. I mean, even Reagan, though, she said, that shit is like a lingering issue. So it's pretty crazy that they were so willy nilly with their main cast, especially anyone really. But they he was the kind of actor that, or the kind of director who would. They said, and this is a quote from Linda Blair Reagan. He was the kind of actor that would, like, if he needed to get a genuine reaction of you, like reacting to a gun going off, he would come in and shoot a gun, like a gun in the
So
air without you
he
knowing it was
definitely
gonna
wanted
happen.
authentic reactions for a
Yes.
lot of his fucking shit.
And do
Which,
you wanna guess what?
yes, sells it, but
Oh,
still, it's just like you
yeah.
are putting your cast through fucking
No,
trauma,
he was,
dude.
yeah. The Linda Blair said he was a genius, but he was a dick, pretty much. Like, yes, he made brilliant work, but he was an asshole. And you wanna guess which take they used in the film?
The,
The
the, the
scene where, yep, she's getting hurt genuinely. So they also kept that one in the film, just like the spine injury. So
Well, of course they would. It's the most genuine shot. It's the best part of the acting. Don't you know?
yeah, the acting.
Ugh.
yeah, it's
Oh.
just acting.
Yeah, it's all just acting. It's all acting, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, if I don't think I could work in an environment where a guy's just coming in and shooting a fucking gun
No.
out of nowhere. I'm like, I'm gonna leave. Like, goodbye, good day. But yeah, the set's crew members were not immune from the alleged curse either. A special effects expert who was there to make sure the set stayed cold, because if you see a lot of the scenes during the possession in the bedroom with Reagan, you can see their breath and stuff. That was like, it was actually very cold. Like they
Oh,
made like it was
fuck.
real effects. That's why it holds up so well. But
Ugh.
he died. I couldn't find out how he died, but he died during filming. I don't know if I don't think it was on set, but I know he had passed. Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit tab. Oh Christ, what did I do? There it is. But yeah, the special effects expert who was there to make sure the rooms and everything stayed cold for the set, he passed. An assistant cameraman's wife that had a baby, the baby passed while they were filming. A janitor who took care of the building. This is the murder. There's a janitor who took care of the building. I also saw some people saying he was like the night guard. I'm not sure which is true. He's either a janitor or a night guard. I'm not sure, but he was shot and killed there while, on duty, or while he was, there after hours. And then the child of Mercedes McCambridge, the voice of the demon, Pazuzu, died in a murder suicide during the filming. In and around, in and all around, oh my gosh.
What?
Altogether, 7 of the cast and crew's family members died unexpectedly during or very shortly after the filming.
Okay,
Um,
can I ask a question?
oh, absolutely.
Did the did the Christians use this as an example for people being punished by God for messing with things they shouldn't be messing with?
Oh, we're
Did the religious
definitely
people
gonna touch on
weaponize
that.
this? Oh
Mm,
God, here we
boy, howdy,
go.
didn't they? Boy, howdy. But injuries and illness also plagued the set. One of the carpenters, and I believe this was during the reconstruction of the originally burned set, he actually cut off his thumb on set while rebuilding.
On
And
purpose?
one of the
On
no
purpose or
accident,
by accident?
accidentally, I believe it
Uh,
was an accident. At least from what I
I
saw,
beg
he
your
accidentally cut his
sincerest
both
fucking
thumb off.
pardon.
This is for you.
Excuse me.
I don't know anymore with the way things are going, and I'm all like, did he do it on
No
purpose?
despair.
Like, what the
I mean,
hell?
he might have. I mean, it's a possibility. I
But yeah, he lost a thumb during rebuilding. When the lighting technicians lost a toe, again, didn't figure no information on how. I tried to look it up, but someone lost a thumb and someone lost a toe. And then they went on a location trip to Iraq. So if in the beginning of the movie, if you remember, they're in Iraq and they're getting the Pazuzu idol and things like that. They actually on location there, and 9 out of the 18-man crew sent there ended up out of commission in one way or another, either by sunstroke or dysentery. They didn't die or anything, but they were, they couldn't help. They couldn't do anything because they were getting sunstroke. They were all getting dysentery. Um, and again, to me, I could say like that is really crazy, but it also seems like maybe they weren't really prepared for the environment they were going to. I mean, they were being smart about, their health and the way the set was ran. I doubt they really cared to protect people from getting sunstroke or dysentery, by putting in ways to prevent that. But yeah, luckily they all survived. And then the bronze statue of the movie's demon, Pazuzu, was lost in transit. And it ended up in Hong Kong, which caused even more delays in the filming, which had already been delayed a ton. Um, and
That's
then
why.
it was constant delays between the
They
fire,
only
the
had one.
sprinklers,
They
injuries.
literally only had one idol.
Well, this was a giant one. Like, it was a really big one, so I think
Gotcha.
that's the only one
Okay.
they had. Yeah. And Pazuzu is an actual demon in biblical lore. So that also, I think they went there and saw some of the actual like little statues. I'm pretty sure this one was made for the movie because it was huge. Because Pazuzu, the idols would generally be small and given actually to pregnant women and babies, because as a form of protection from his ops, pretty much Pazuzu's ops would go after pregnant women, and it's all very confused. That's a whole thing, but yeah, it was actually a protective symbol if you, I guess, worshipped him in a way. It's a whole thing. But yeah, they ended up losing that in transit, and that caused even more delays. Um, and then there's even a man who ended up being a murderer, who was in the movie. He ended up doing the murder after the movie, but he was in the scene where, if you guys remember the part where Reagan is getting the medical scans and it's like really uncomfortable. They're putting like needles down her, like into her neck and things like that. The
Yeah.
young technician who's assisting the radiologist, um, his name was Paul Bateson, and Paul was actually a real radiology technologist, the chief neuroradiology technologist to be exact. And they actually hired him and the other doctor as real doctors. Like, this is actually what they did for a living, to be in the scene, which was cool. But yeah, he was an actual doctor. They both were. And then this Paul Bateson ended up murdering a variety reporter named Addison Verrill in his apartment on September 14th, 1977. Paul had beaten Addison with a frying pan and then stabbed him, and he said it was in like a kind of like a fit of passion. Him and the man had been doing a bunch of cocaine and
Oh
drinking and
my
things of that
God.
nature, and it ended in a murder. And he was arrested very shortly after he committed the crime. So
Oh, damn.
fun
Huh.
stuff. Yeah.
We love that, I guess.
Oh my God.
Was it like, I was like, "Oh, cool, they hired real actors to, or real, doctors to be in the scene to make it," like, I really appreciate the authenticity there. I like that a lot more than, like, entering your cast. And then I read, but, the guy ended up murdering someone. I was like, "Oh, that brings it back down. That sucks."
That's a little less enjoyable, yeah.
You're
I
like,
was like, "Well, that just
well,
brings it down."
shit. As Ronnie Mama said, well, damn.
Yeah, I
Right?
was like, "Ah, shit."
You're so right. You're so right for that.
Now, something that can be said about that, though, is it did happen all the way in 1977. The movie came out in 1973. So, yes, he was in the movie and he ended up murdering somebody, but this was many years after. But people will argue that the curse, lingers, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean. So, But the director and the team that was promoting this movie in the studio, they all embraced the idea of the curse. They embraced it. They embraced the hysteria to promote the film. Now, they actually ended up bringing a priest on the set, though, after all this happened, a real priest to help bless the set to kind of put the cast members' minds at ease. And like, they were all kind of like freaked out, obviously, by the idea of the curse and things of that nature as well, with everything that happened. But the director and the studio really embraced the hysteria to promote the film. There were stories that projecting the film would invite demons into the theater, creating an urban legend around the movie, which they loved. There was a trailer that had to get pulled because its flashing lights were potentially a seizure, inducing, and and that caused even more hysteria that the movie's cursed, it's making people have seizures even though it was the flashing lights, and they loved that, especially that trailer. They embraced it and they leaned hard into the controversy around the movie, and it worked. It really, really worked marketing
Yeah.
wise. The movie ended up making almost $200 million on its original release in 1973, mind you. So that is a shit ton of money for that day and age. Um, and there was people passing out, puking, watching the movie. They were passing out, throwing up, hysteric. Others were protesting it outside with signs. There were mental health warnings about watching the film. It was a firestorm of controversy of its time. It really was. But
Weaponized by the Christians.
oh yes, I must
100%,
say,
dude. You know it.
there was
Yeah.
tons of protests in that sense. The poor girl that played Reagan now actually uh is a dog rescue person. Like, she runs a dog sanctuary, a lot of pit bulls and things of that nature. Super cute. Love that. Love Linda Blair. She's a badass bitch. She's done a few acting things since then, but her experience after filming, because of the religious controversy, and frankly because she's a woman and was a young girl during this, she really got shit on. Truly, like, she got a lot of flack and threats and all kinds of things, and it's something I'm going to talk about once we talk about if I get to talk about the Omen at some point. That the little boy in that movie, this was a good comparison that I heard. The little boy in that movie was able to fall back into like relative like secrecy, like people didn't really harass him as much. But Reagan, the girl, she really got like, it was a crazy amount of protesters and people telling her she was the devil and just awful things. And like you said, Christian groups definitely grabbed onto this as well, embraced it, just like the director embraced it, but for their own, wants and, whatever they perceive as justifiable, in the sense of, well, now we can use this to tell people, oh, look, see, as soon as you mock whatever our religion is, you're going to be cursed. And this is actually where we're going to segue right into my thoughts about it, because that's actually a good part of what I think influenced the idea of a curse. Uh, my thoughts. I think religious hysteria played a huge part in the curse theory, and influenced in the influence on people. The combination of well-researched background to real historical icons like the demon Pazuzu and all the other religious aspects of the film, mixed with the religious imagery that they used in the film that was also accurate. Again, they used a lot of like real things, uh, loosely based on a true story, is what they say, and then also the real demonic imagery, the real religious aspects of and things of that nature. And I think that really strikes fear into people who are heavily religious, especially like Catholics and Christians, in this case, Catholics specifically. And it makes it easy to fall into the, oh, they mocked God or made a movie about demons, so now it's cursed mindset. But unfortunately, old people do die. Like the older lady that passed, she was 89 years old, died of natural causes. The guy that got influenza, I believe, was an older fella too. And unfortunately, the flu does still kill people young and
Yep.
old,
I mean, I barely
especially back
survived it.
then.
Mhm.
Like, I barely
Ugh,
survived it this
I'm
time
glad
around.
you're
I was
feeling
so
better. That
scared.
shit is scary.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, that shit, it's scary. And then people get hurt on sets, especially back in the 1973 and even before that and a little bit after even, like, regulations were not in place, like,
No.
pretty much at all. And people get hurt on sets with asshole directors who, even though they made amazing pieces of media and art, they were still reckless assholes. And that puts people in danger, that causes things that you would be like, oh my God, that's a curse, because you're associating these religious aspects with the accidents that are happening and you're making a connection. And humans do this a ton. Humans love to make connections where they really might not be one. Causation doesn't mean, or correlation doesn't mean causation, right? So they
Mhm.
would see bad things happening on set and be like, "Oh, it's because they're mocking God and now it's cursed." But even though it's just because the director is a reckless asshole, right? So, and again, like I said, humans often see connections where there aren't, because of their own beliefs and views. There's actually a principle in psychology called the availability heuristic. Heuristic, I think is how it's pronounced. Maybe not. You know me, not great at pronouncing things.
Sure.
But so that
Sure.
pretty much means, when I say, I can't pronounce the words very well. But this theory pretty much means the same thing I just said. The more easily we can draw an example of something in our minds, the more likely we are to see that thing that it's true. The religious imagery and language, all that in The Exorcist does just that for many people. They are able to draw on their own beliefs, their own things that they've learned, everything, and it puts the power behind that imagery and it allows it to become way more believable, right? Because you already believe it or you already know of it, even. And that's going to make it a lot easier for your mind to make that connection that, oh my God, it's a
Yeah.
curse.
Mm-hmm.
And it
For
gives it
sure.
that much more power. People believe what they want to believe. If you believe in curses, you hear this movie is evil and curses, and something bad happens, you could likely associate the two things, even if they're not related at all. But the human mind is very unique and it's very complicated, and it's hard to explain that to people. It's hard to put logic behind something that seems illogical in people's minds, right? You can't force people to believe things, and for all we know, maybe it was cursed. Maybe it was cursed for other reasons in religion. Maybe it was cursed because people had bad vibes because they thought, you know what I mean? Like they just
Their way of
put all the
thinking.
negativity,
Yeah.
into it.
Your way
And
of thinking
maybe it was
affects.
cursed because the people didn't give a shit about their staff, right? It could be cursed because of the shitty responsibility behind the studio and the director. I feel like that could be cursed in itself, you know? Who says a curse it has to be like a literal thing and not something we project into being,
Existence.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. But I will say there was a lot of bad luck, it seems, surrounding the set. But again, we correlate things in our mind. Um, and again, this was a movie made around the time that laws were very little to none when it came to directing and movie sets. Directors tended to be more intense. Sets were often unsafe in general, and people often end up injured no matter the movie or the context of the movie, especially if any stunts were involved, because still lots of tragedy uh, occurred back on old movie sets, and even still today, with all the regulations we have, accidents and injuries happen all the time, especially with stunt people. Again, stunts are very dangerous, and when there was no regulations, of course, people were getting hurt, especially if it gave genuine, amazing reactions. They're actually going to probably look for a way to hurt you to get that reaction, right? That's what they did. We literally saw this in The Exorcist, but it's still really, really weird things happened on that set. A lot of strange occurrences. I am not one person to say one way or another. Personally, I think it was a lot of just bad luck and correlation and timing and shitty directors. A tornado of bad, making it seem like a curse. And honestly, it helped them sell the movie like crazy. Again, it was insanely popular for its time. It is still insanely influential in all tons of horror movies that you see today. And it was an absolute banger of a movie. But yeah, that is the curse of the Exorcist set.
Holy crap! And
Whack.
when like I said, when I rewatch it, I'm never gonna think about it the same way ever again because, wow.
They literally put their pain into it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna run an ad. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my water, and then we're gonna go into Melty's topic for today. So we'll see you guys in about
Yeah.
3 minutes. We're gonna run an ad. All right.
Ad time. Woohoo.
Ad time. All right, we are back. We are back. We are back. I hope you guys got some of your hydration tools. We are back and live. Hello, 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 ladies. All right.
Hello.
Whew.
Hello.
So the topic we just covered is The Exorcist, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Our next one is going over to Melty, who is talking about
Hello.
some West Virginian cryptids,
I
Hell
surely
yeah.
am.
also known in
All right.
Fallout 76.
That too, yes. Alrighty. So I'm gonna ask y'all a question. I feel like I already know the answer. When I say the words West Virginian cryptid, what is the first one that comes to mind?
Mothman.
Is it the Mothman? Is that where they're at?
Yeah, Mothman is from West Virginia. I live literally
Oh.
like an hour and a half out from Point Pleasant.
Wait, does that mean you've been to the
Ooh.
Mothman festivals?
I have not yet. Nope. I'm waiting for my sister to come and visit because I know if I go to the Mothman Museum and do all that without her, she is going to beat me up and take my wallet.
That's fair.
So, I'm gonna wait a little bit on that. But in the meantime, the Mothman is actually not all that West Virginia has. West Virginia is, for those of you who don't know, the heart of Appalachia, or Appalachia, depending on who you ask. And to the best of my knowledge, we are basically the cryptid capital of the United States. We have a lot of cryptids. We're talking about Mothman, Snallygaster, what the hell is that bit? We got a cryptid called the fucking Vegetable Man, and I'm not making that up. Look it up right now. I'm not kidding. It is a legitimate cryptid. Vegetable Man is a legitimate cryptid. I am not making this up, but I'm not talking about them today. I'm not talking about him. Today
The Flatwoods Monster, isn't that? Or I forget what it's called. The Flatwoods.
Yep, that is actually one of the ones that I was going to talk about.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Veggie
So I
Man.
picked.
Sorry, it's
Yes.
called Veggie Man, and he is legit a
Also
cryptid. I love him so fucking
He
much.
is straight up like a plant man,
his
dude.
design. I
He
love
is straight
him.
up a plant man.
I think
He's
I need
straight
to
up a
cover
fucking
him.
plant.
I think I need to cover him. I love him. He's the best.
Dude, you do as you please. But I picked out three cryptids in particular that I found really interesting, and I want to talk about them. And I was asked to be a guest on the show, so I'm gonna make you sit down and listen. Up, don't go away. I see you tapping away. I see you doing something else. Get back here. Get back here right now.
Get in here right now.
Get over here. Anyways.
We appreciate you so much, by the way. Yes, thank you again.
Oh, I got you.
Love
I
our
got you
Melty.
guys. I
Best
do my best. Okay. So, I guess we'll start with the one that kind of got spoiled. The Flatwoods Monster, Meso.
I do have a pin of the Flatwoods Monster somewhere.
Yes,
here.
I love it. That is one of my favorites. HK Ruby says they had to look up the Mothman. Okay, so real quick, Mothman is not the one of the ones that I picked out today, but I'm gonna give a quick rundown, just for people who may or may not be familiar with the Mothman. He is basically a moth who is a man, or maybe a man who is a moth. He is sort of, as the name implies, a lot of people believe that he is a omen of bad things. A lot of people said that they spotted him when there was a bridge collapse. I can't remember the name of it because I didn't look it up for this, but there was a bridge collapse. I don't remember the name of it, and I feel like such an asshole for not knowing. But a lot of people seem to have Jesus fucking Christ, have claimed to have seen him before the collapse. So he's kind of gained a reputation as an omen of bad shit. So there's that. That's the Mothman. Yay, we love him.
They also made a movie called The Mothman Prophecies, which was kind of cool, but trippy as hell.
I believe it. I believe it. It is, yeah. But the ones that I've picked out today are, we'll start. I picked out 3 of them, and I'm gonna try to keep it kind of brief, but I don't know, man. There's a lot. But the Flatwoods Monster. Yeah. But the Flatwoods Monster is basically an alien type encounter that was first spotted on September 12, 1952 by 2 brothers, Edward and Fred May, along with their friend Tommy Heyer. They claimed that they'd seen a bright object cross the sky and land on the property of a local farmer named Fisher. They went to the home of a Kathleen May, where they were like, hey, we'd seen this, we gotta go check it out. I assume these were kids, and grabbing an adult. So, 4 of them went to the Fisher farm along with a National Guardsman, Eugene Lemon, and I'm not making it up, that is his legitimate name.
I love it.
They went to Fisher farm to try and see if they could find whatever it was that the boys had seen. They reached the top of a hill where one of the children said that they'd seen a pulsing red light. Guardsman Lemon said that he had aimed a flashlight in the direction and momentarily saw what he described as a tall, man-like figure with a round red face surrounded by a pointed hood-like shape. So for those of you who don't know, Daku, are you able to show an image on screen of our little guy real quick?
Yeah, you can
Are
share.
we able to? Or
Yeah,
no?
you can share it on here, and then I'll put it in the presentation section. So,
All right, cool.
Just give me a second, real quickly here. Well, I think.
No, you're good. I'm trying to see. These are all kind of similar, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Sorry, guys are like looking at the tunnel of never-ending stuff here. Give me a second here.
Into the abyss! The abyss!
Judy Garland.
Yeah.
Here, we'll take it.
Go ahead and
Here,
share it on Discord.
We'll use it from a Braxton website.
Okay.
It's kind of about where it was found. So that is a depiction of the Flatwoods Monster. I'm sure Daku will show it on screen in just a second. I put it in the side chat here.
Or
Do you want me
text
to?
chat.
Oh, in the
yeah.
side chat. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Hold on.
Yeah. Do you want me to DM
There
it
we
to you
go.
instead, or?
No, it's fine. There we go.
Okay. Cool.
I haven't made
Yep,
a pixel.
there they
I
are.
haven't made a kawaii pixel of this one yet, but this was actually next on my list.
I was gonna say, I
I'm
think
excited
I'd
for
seen you
it.
do something like this, but I couldn't remember. But yeah, that is one of the depictions of the Flatwoods Monster based off of Lemon's description. The day after that incident, there was another sighting near Strange Creek, about 20 miles south of Flatwoods. These reported witnesses, George and Edith Snitowski, as well as their son, were driving through the rural area between Clay and Braxton County when their car suddenly died. George Snitowski, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, probably not, attempted to restart the car, but it
club, baby.
wasn't.
All of us mispronounce
One
things
of us.
here. One of
Well,
us.
it's somebody's name. It's somebody's name. I want to at least
It's
try.
so hard. Hey, we
Please
tried. We're just so
try.
bad at it.
Okay, yeah, all right. But the car died, and I was trying to restart it. Wasn't really working. This was about nighttime, and they were just kind of sitting out there on their own. Like, it was deserted, nobody out there but them. So while they were trying to figure out what the hell do, they smelled a, quote, foul sulfur smell, and their baby began to cry. They saw a strange bright light filling the darkness, and the couple witnessed a 10-foot tall creature hovering in front of their car. They have a similar description of that of the original sighting, but the monster was not wearing its little hood, little spade-shaped hood, like you can see. Instead, they have its head was reportedly reptilian and bony. Creature dragged its lizard-like hand across the hood of the car before drifting away into the woods. As soon as the monster was out of sight, the car finally restarted, and the couple sped away. Very convenient timing on that, I must say.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. So there have been a few sightings where descriptions have varied. There was a UFO writer named Gray Barker who described the figure in the... Oh, Jesus Christ, I just dropped my shit.
Raven said that the Flatwood Monster is such a funny-looking monster with a hood. I just think it's a fashionable monster. We're just not in its level of fashion.
I just wanna... I wanna,
avocado head.
Yeah. I wanna, turn it into a shovel where, the handle is its body and, the actual digging part is its hood. I just want to use it to, dig shit.
That's cute. Hi,
Chess. Little Flatwoods shovel.
Kamusta ka na, Chess?
Yeah. Where was I in my notes? Oh God.
Sorry, I distracted you. I will.
No, you're good. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, the UFO writer Gray Barker had some tape-recorded interviews for the Fate magazine. He described the figure as approximately 10 feet or 3 meters tall, with a round blood-red face, a large pointed hood-like shape around the face, and eye-like shapes which emitted green-orange light, as well as a dark black or green body. Many described the figure as having small claw-like hands, clothing like folds, and a head that resembled the Ace of Spades. So, like the little guy you could see got shown over earlier. I already lost my notes 2 seconds ago. Goddamn.
No,
Don't
I'm
feel
paranoid
bad. We
about
do it
my notes.
constantly.
Now I'm like worried
Yeah.
about my notes. I'm like popping up my notes. I'm like, where'd they go? Oh dear.
That's my bad. That's my bad. But according to the original story, the figure made so this is back with the original story with the brothers Edward and May. According to that, when the figure made a hissing sound and glided towards the group, the National Guardsman screamed and dropped his flashlight, which caused them to run away. Which I think is
Wow.
really funny. Like, you're gonna make a National Guardsman scream like a little baby and then run off. That is so funny.
I just think it's funny that it's just like a and screamed
And
fear.
he's like, oh,
Great. I love
like,
it.
yeah, that's
It's
a
an about.
good thing it was just the
It's an
National Guard and
about.
not military.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. The aftermath of that group, they reported that they smelled a quote pungent mist. And some members later said that they felt nauseated. The local police had investigated reports of a crashed aircraft in the area, and they happened to search the site on the farm, but saw, heard, and smelled nothing.
Interesting.
According
So the
to
people, sorry,
yeah,
I was
no,
going to
you're
say the
good.
people before smelled the sulfur, and then these
Mm-hmm.
people said it was like pungent, but the other people were like, "I
Yeah.
didn't smell shit."
Well,
Yeah,
sulfur
so
is usually either related to aliens or demons.
yeah, can be
Demons.
aliens, demons. It is also naturally occurring, which is really fucking cool. Small, like, a side tangent. But since we're talking about sulfur, I remember somebody had posted like sulfur volcanoes, and them bitches were blue, dude. That shit was cool as fuck.
They're very interesting.
They were.
You never had like you never went to your chemistry class and then your teacher showed you like the different colors, like the different fire
Oh yeah,
colors
yeah.
of the elements are. Oh man. There was one that was
No, I didn't get that.
oh.
They couldn't trust the I went to a private school and they couldn't trust us not to burn shit down.
Yeah.
Isn't my fault. It was this other asshole kids. I was a good noodle. I listened to the teacher. But yeah, there was another account. A Lee Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to have discovered skid marks in the field as alongside a quote odd gummy deposit, which were subsequently attributed by UFO enthusiast groups as evidence of a quote saucer landing.
Interesting.
So that is the quick quote unquote story of the Flatwoods Monster. As you've probably gathered, the stories have become more like folklore at this point. Flatwoods has kind of embraced it. There's an ice cream shop called The Spot, offering a photo op with like a little painted statue of it. It's really cute. There is a museum dedicated to that story in the town of Sutton, which is just a few miles south of Flatwood. And there's a lot of things that have been erected around the county for it, which is really interesting. Some explanations for it. Some people have. God, if I could say words right, Jesus Christ. Some people have concluded that the light that they'd seen in the sky was probably a meteor or like an aircraft navigation or hazard beacon, and that the creature described by witnesses really closely resembled a barn owl, which
Interesting.
could also explain the small claw-like hands. Could be that, could not be. I mean, I
Maybe.
don't know. Personally, I think that it could be real. I personally haven't seen it, but I'm also one of those people who think that aliens legitimately do exist because the universe is so big that
Same
how
girl,
are
same.
we? There
I
is
talk
no
about this all the
goddamn way
time.
that we are the only intelligent
No, we're just
fucking
no.
life in the earth.
Another
The
plug for
fucking universe.
the
It's not
Great
possible.
Filter episode we just dropped on Spotify.
Today.
Actually,
It's
perfect
on
segue into
Spotify
that.
and
Yeah, there you
YouTube
go.
now. Yeah, we
I
talked about the
discussed
Great
some of that.
Filter,
Yeah.
and that is discussed, which is awesome.
Yeah, you should totally go check that out.
Mink,
Give it a good one.
Mink, that is my party hat. Party hat Nessie. That's my kawaii cryptid party hat Nessie emote. It's Nessie with the party hat. Which
You good old Nessie.
good old Nessie.
Ready to rock.
Nessie with a party hat.
Hell yeah. All right. So I've got 2 more cryptids, one of which is attributed to another extraterrestrial origin. So I figure we'll do them next.
I love aliens.
This one,
I love aliens.
I also love aliens. This one, in my opinion, also has ties with Fae. Like
Oh, a
fairies
double
and folklore
win
and
for
shit like.
Daku.
Right, right.
She loves both of those.
Oh, yeah.
Very much.
Hell yeah.
You had me at aliens and you had me at fairies. I
Yeah,
love both.
this guy,
Aliens,
the
fairies,
only
and
reason
cryptids, oh my.
that I say fairies, and well, if you know anything about like fairies and fae folklore and shit like that, there's gonna be something that this cryptid says that's gonna raise a flag for you, I'm sure. So I'm wondering if you can catch it.
Okay.
But this cryptid is known as Indrid Cold, or the smiling man, the grinning man, the cheerful man.
Oh.
There's different names to this guy.
Wait.
But for our purposes and for the sake of simplicity, I'm just gonna call him Indrid Cold.
Indrid Cold?
Yeah, cold. Like it's fucking cold as shit outside. Let me in. That's not what that is at all. That's not what the story is at all. I promise. I promise. But Indrid Cold at about, well, the story of him, I should say, because the story is actually more about a fellow called Woodrow Derenberger. We're gonna call him Derenberger, just for sakes. I haven't met the man personally, so I'm not gonna call him Woodrow. It was about
Thank you,
November
sorry.
2nd.
Thank
No,
you.
you're good.
Thank you, Caesar. I appreciate you. Caesar just gave some birthday
Dankeschön.
biddies, so we're just saying thanks
Aw.
to the biddies.
Say,
Dankeschön.
And we had questions about if Nessie was a plesiosaurus, which is a theory that they have
theory for sure,
Nessie. Yeah. Okay. And carry on, my dear Melty, my love.
Alrighty, sounds good. Sorry, I was munching on salad.
What are we calling this cryptid?
You can call him the Smiling Man or Indrid Cold, whichever strikes your fancy. There's like
I
a lot of
Smiling
people
Man.
use that. Go for it. It's spookier.
very
Anyways.
creepy.
Indeed.
Smiling Man.
Thank you again, says.
Thank you.
How did you do too? Says Caesar, you mad lad. 200 bits, my G. Goddamn, thank you. That is some good shit. So the Smiling Man or Indrid Cold. On Wednesday, November 2nd at 1966 at approximately 7:30 p.m. This fella named Woodrow Derenberger was driving home near Parkersburg. And he stopped to adjust a machine in the back of the truck. He worked as a sewing machine salesman.
Okay.
So he was driving home and he stopped to adjust the machine in the back of his truck.
Mink is asking, is the Smiling Man the same as the man with the upside down face in the Trevor Henderson creature, or no?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay.
Henderson might have used it as inspiration for it. I don't know about
okay.
that, but this is not the same guy.
Okay.
This is not the same thing.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah. So Derenberger was driving home. He pulled over to fix some shit, and then he got back on the road and he noticed there were some lights ahead of him. And he thought they were like police, so he stopped, and well, he found out that the lights didn't actually belong to a car at all, but to what he described as an aircraft that looked like a kerosene lamp chimney. He said that a man stepped out and approached his truck, and these are words directly from Derenberger, because the basically a few days after Derenberger had this encounter, he reported it to the police because yeah, he totally would. And then there was this big media storm around it, probably due to recent Mothman sightings.
Right.
So people kind of had that belief that, oh, this guy might be related to the Mothman, because maybe he's also an omen, right? Like, you know, right?
I'm
I keep
shaking my
people do
head
that.
yes, like
easily
you can see me shaking my head yes when I should probably be
Yeah.
verbally saying yes because there's a
Well,
delay
I
on.
see you. I'm watching.
I was
Yeah.
like, I'm like shaking my head yes in agreement. I'm realizing like she can't hear
for
my
the
head.
audio listeners. She's shaking her head yes.
audio description. Daku nodding in agreement. But yeah, he had spoken. Darren Berger obviously reported the encounter to police, and there was a big old media storm in which he was asked to give an interview, and he did give a 30-minute interview with members of state police, representatives of the Wood County Airport, Parkersburg Police, as well as a representative from the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, which is really interesting to me. And I want you guys to keep this in mind as we keep going. But here's Darren Berger's account, and I'm going to be quoting it as I found it.
Okay.
So this is from his interview. He looked perfectly natural and normal as any human being. His face looked like he had a good tan, a deep suntan. He wasn't too dark, but it was just like he had been out in the sun a lot and had a good tan. His hair was combed straight back and it was a dark brown, and he seemed to have a good thick head of hair. His eyebrows, his face, his features were very normal. I don't believe that he looked any different from any other man that you would meet on the street. He'd asked me to roll down the window on my right-hand side of my truck, and I'd done what he asked. And this man stood there, and he first asked me what I was called, and I know he meant my name. And I told him my name, and he asked me, he said, "Why are you frightened?" He said, "Don't be frightened. We wish you no harm." He said, "We mean you no harm. We wish you only happiness." And I told him my name, and when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold. And that is the description given on television by Darren Berger. He also said that the man had a large grin and kept his arms folded with his hands up under his armpits. And though he actually spoke to Darren Berger, his smile never moved.
Superstar.
Darren Berger claimed that he spoke telepathically. So there's that. That's interesting.
Oh, I gotta roar real quickly. Roar! Also, Mink is asking, is the smiling man relative to the Mothman? No, it's two completely different cryptids.
Yeah, these are two very different cryptids, but people kind of have an association with them due to there was a writer who spoke about Darren Berger's encounter with Indrid Cold in a book related to the Mothman, like the Mothman prophecies. I think that might actually be the book that movie is based
I think
off
it
of.
is. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people made that connection, like, oh, the smiling man must be related to the Mothman in some way. When, as far as near as I found and as near as I can understand, he's just kind of his own thing.
Damn.
But yeah, that following the interview, a lot of other people claim to have encountered the same guy, Indrid Cold, and the newspapers ran stories about him for like the next 3 weeks. But it really, I mean, Darren Berger did eventually write a book about the visits, but the results of that encounter and like the shit that apparently followed him afterwards wasn't super great. So over the course of like the month that followed, Darren Berger claimed that he was visited by Indrid Cold many times, and that even took him on a spaceship to his planet. He also claimed that Cold would also appear at his front door. His family knew about it, and that they knew that he was visiting, and they eventually did claim that they'd also seen Cold along with other, quote, strange beings.
Oh God.
Eventually, Darren Berger did suffer from, he did claim to suffer from, like, headaches and anxiety and depression. His family received years of, like, harassing phone calls, and some of these would be really weird. Like, sometimes they were threats to stop talking about the experience, and other times they were, yeah, right, really interesting. Other times they were odd beeps and electronic hums, and sometimes it was just silence. The family did change their number to an unlisted one, but apparently the calls kept coming.
Oh shit.
And I did find some things that say Darren Berger was potentially visited by the Men in Black at one point.
Oh, I talked about the Men in Black here, you
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Oh, well, there you go, see?
I was about to
There you
say,
go.
not again.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, so interesting, huh? How they seem to show up in these things, huh? Weird.
It's
Anyway,
very
hey, is
interesting.
somebody knocking on my door? There's not. I'm being silly.
That would be
They're
the
not.
scariest timing in the world.
Dude, I would fucking shit
I'd be like,
myself.
don't
Oh
you
god.
answer that fucking door.
Be like, nobody saw him. Go away.
You leave it alone.
Nuh-uh. Where was I? Men in Black visited. And then at some point, Derenberger did. His
we
wife
got a
did divorce him.
raid.
And
Sorry.
how
Portra,
nice!
thank you for that raid. Welcome in, raiders. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We're glad to have you all here.
Hello.
And yeah, we're doing episode
Portra.
17 of the Thick and Spooky Ghouls podcast today. We just finished talking about the Exorcist cursed set. Then we talked about, we talked about the Flatwoods Monster. And now we're talking about Indrid Cold, aka the Smiling Man. And then after that, we've got another West Virginia Cryptid, right?
Yep, just one more after
more.
this one.
And then
we're
we'll do
almost
Wizard of
done, I
Oz
promise.
after.
And we're almost there, I promise.
Oh, I'm loving it.
And Cortra says, yay, very Fallout 76.
Oh, yes, definitely.
How did I know?
Because like Cortra's gonna know about it
Cortra
too.
loves
God, I
Fallout.
sure hope so. God, I sure hope so. But yeah. So that's fun. Eventually, his wife did divorce him, and Derenberger did move away for a few years. But he did move back to where he lived in the Mineral Wells area before his death in 1990, approximately 23 years after the alleged initial encounter on the highway. And he never really spoke of the events until he died. And I haven't really been able to find a particular explanation for it, which doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't one. My personal theory is that Derenberger might. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I feel like Derenberger might have had some mental health issues because he
I was
did.
gonna say.
Yeah, because he did go to like a physician and doctors, and they gave him back a clean bill of health. But mind you, this was in like 1960s, 70s, 80s. Mental health wasn't really.
Yeah.
They like rub some dirt on it.
Everybody's like, lobotomy, you're good.
Yeah.
Lobotomy, you're good. That's the only answer.
Yeah. But the allegations of the Men in Black and the mysterious phone calls do kind of make me speculate a little bit that maybe there could be some sense of reality to it. But at the same time, I mean, these are recounts from a man who could very potentially be mentally unwell, so
I mean, I believe
who knows what's really
that the Men
behind
in
that.
Black is
Yeah.
very real. I believe
Oh,
that
they
the Men in Black
100%
is
are, dude.
very, very real. I believe
I'll put my
black-eyed
blood on that.
children are very real, and aliens are very, very real to me. So, yeah.
Goddamn right. Goddamn right.
So the question becomes then, was it actually the Men in Black that determined him, or was he just,
Yeehaw, thank you.
Aw.
Happy birthday, Daku. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Answer the guy in the black suit, Steve. No Men in Black allowed here, sir.
No.
No.
That door is staying closed. Thank you. Have a nice day. Come back with the warrant.
But thank you for
I was
those
gonna say, come back with the warrant, bro.
Right. Thank you.
So sweet.
All right. So our last one, Fallout 76 players, you will also be familiar with this one, which I also didn't get a lot of information on, just because I don't know if there isn't a lot of information or if it's just all kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But let's give a warm welcome to the Grafton Monster. Fallout 76ers, I know you know this one. I know you do.
I spelt it properly. I hope I spelt it proper like you guys.
Yep. You got it.
Okay, good.
You got it.
Oh,
Portra. And the hype train, you guys. That's super sweet.
Ooh.
Thank you for the birthday wishes, you guys. Really. It's great.
Birthday,
Happy Daku Day.
Daku Day.
Yeah. Oh, Papa Corcher's excited. The Grafton Monster, such a sweet lumbering giant, he says.
He is a big boy, isn't he? He is a real big boy. All right. So the Grafton Monster, for those of you who are not familiar with him, and his lore does differ from the Fault 76 one, as far as I understand. I give him a hug. You can try. You can sure try. Old boy is... well, let's start with this story, yeah?
Okay.
So it's about June 16th, 1964, at approximately about 11 p.m. There was a reporter for the Grafton Sentinel newspaper, Robert Cockrell. He was driving along the Tigert River on Route 119. It was also known as Riverside Drive. On his way home from work, along this river, Cockrell encountered a large white creature on the right side of the road, near the Tigert River. According to the account, where's the description? I have it here for you. I got it here somewhere. There we are. So this creature, he did have to slow down and take a look at it. Was very large and appeared to be made entirely of muscle, having like white steel-like skin, and didn't have a visible head. So either it didn't have a head, or it was like too close, like it didn't have much of a neck. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah, fun.
Oh, good heavens.
Right. So according to a Cockrell, the creature was lumbering around the side of the road with a low whistling noise being emitted from further in the direction of the river. Cockrell at the time, right? Cockrell at the time has no real explanation for the noise. But here's Mr. Gray Barker again. He believed that the creature was extraterrestrial in origin and suggested the noise could have been the creature's spaceship. But I don't know, man. Between you and me, I don't think the Grafton Monster is an alien. But I mean, shit, I've been wrong before. So Cockrell did slow down to take a look at it. He said the creature moved quickly out of view, and once he realized that, wait a minute, that thing's alive, he just fucking sped home. And then when he got home, he hit up his boys, Jerry Morse and Jim Mouser, and he told them what happened, and he asked them to come with him to the location where he'd seen the thing in order to, investigate further. So they went, and when they went back, they weren't able to find it. All they were able to find was trampled grass and a low whistling sound that seemed to follow them around the site.
HK, thank you for those 1,000 biddies. What?
Oh my god.
Goodness gracious.
Thank you, HK.
Thank you.
Holy mamma mia.
That was so sweet.
Goodness gracious.
So popular today.
You know, it's birthday. It's a birthday. It happens once a year. I'm now level 37, you know. 37 levels, you guys.
Big best dog.
Hey, that means I got 37 years of experience. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's
wisdom. I have a lot of wisdom, you guys.
You're right. Your wisdom stat is so stupidly high, dude. So good.
All right, Papa Cortra, enjoy your munchies. Thanks for the lurk. There is a Twitch birthday. That's not until June. My Twitch birthday is not till June.
Fun. But yeah, they didn't find anything when they went to investigate, so I assume they just kind of gave up and went home. So the next day, yeah. So the next day, when he was at work, Cockrell mentioned to his editor at the Grafton Sentinel what he'd seen, but the editor was like, "Oh, haha, yeah, man, whatever." Like, he didn't take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So Cockrell's like, "Yeah, it's probably just some weird shit, whatever." So he didn't think there was really going to be anything else. But his buddies were absolutely fascinated with the idea of a monster on the loose, and they decided to go around town telling everybody that they could.
Of course.
Because I could never shut the hell up about something like that.
Sorry. Ehud says, please share that wisdom. My 40 years didn't get that wisdom. My response, laughing my ass off. Different skill tree, that's all. It's just a different skill
Different
tree.
skill
Put all
tree.
your
It's
yeah, put all your
fine.
skills somewhere else. It's all right.
It's fine. It's fine.
God. Oh man. Carry on. Okay, so we're talking about this giant boy. The
Yeah, the
Grafton,
big boy,
the
big
Grafton.
old Grafton Monster. So his buddies went around yapping and fucking telling everybody. So in a very short time, people started forming monster hunting parties. These were predominantly made up of like local teenagers armed with like baseball bats or like tire irons, just
Jeez.
whatever they could find. You know what I mean? It's just that shit. Um, so these groups like just scoured Riverside Drive, where he had seen the creature, and soon people started having sightings of their own. And then the newspaper, the Grafton Central, started interviewing some of the teenagers and some of the people that were looking for the monster and claimed to have encountered it. And a lot of these encounters varied greatly, and none of them really came close to what Cockrell had seen. Which is really fucking funny to me, because absolutely there's some people who are gonna say that they'd seen it when they hadn't really. Because, like,
Right, the
I
hype is
don't
just
know.
spreading
Of
around
course,
town. Everybody was
they just
Yeah.
want their 15 minutes of attention.
Yeah.
Mhm. Everybody wants to
Yeah.
feel important.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So because of this group of people bringing, like, loaded guns and weapons and shit like that into the area, the police eventually took their own investigation, kind of took
I
over.
bet.
Yeah. And then on June 19th, the Grafton Sentinel printed another article dismissing the monster outright as a result of spring fever and bored locals just making shit up.
That's literally what I was
So they,
gonna say. A bunch of bored locals
yeah,
from
the
West Virginia or in
yeah,
Virginia.
it is West Virginia, yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's West Virginia.
Yeah, it is. These are all, yeah.
All West Virginian cryptids.
Europe. So the explanation that they give was that it was instead a handcart piled high with boxes, which, if you ask me, that's cap of shit. They're just saying shit to fucking just get people and knock that shit off, you know?
Yeah.
And as far as I could find, that was the only real quote unquote explanation for the monster, was just a handcart, which I don't buy
A
that for a
handcart is
fucking
so
minute.
funny.
I absolutely yeah. Like
I
I
would
absolutely think
believe
you
an
found
animal
something.
before that. Yeah, like
Right?
most of the time I assume it's a misidentified animal, and
Yeah.
people or like one with mange. Like people used to see bears and dogs with mange and think they're like oh,
Yeah.
what are the goat sucker or whatever
Yeah.
else. Werewolves.
Yeah. I did find one single account from one of the teenagers who said he thought it was like an escaped polar bear or something.
Interesting. Lost
Which,
style.
I mean, I guess I believe that more than the fucking handcart thing, but I couldn't really find any proper explanation
You-
for it.
Can you imagine
So, I
walking through the
mean,
woods? I think I'd rather see whatever it was than a polar bear.
like, honestly, dude, like polar bear, if it's
Holy
white, say
shit. Yeah.
goodnight, dude.
Yeah, you're dead. You're
Like,
dead.
it's just game
Holy
over at that
shit.
point, man. You ain't
Yeah.
getting out.
So I don't
But
think it
yeah,
was a polar bear, bro.
I also don't think it was a polar bear. But I'm more willing to believe that than a
A cart.
fucking handcart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That
I've
someone
seen
was
it.
really fucking baked if they thought that was
On God,
a whole
dude.
monster.
On God. But yeah,
Eh,
those are the 3 West Virginia cryptids. My 76 players rejoice because as far as I understand, all 3 of these are actually in Fallout 76.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Um, yeah, because I know they added the Grafton Monster and I think the Flatwoods Monster when they added the
The Flatwoods I
Wilds.
fought for
Yeah.
sure, so.
I fought both of those in game. The Smiling Man, I've only met him once.
I didn't know he was in there. I
Um,
haven't seen that
yeah,
one.
he is. He's a new one. He's the one that they added when they had that alien event a while back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
say I
I've
did a
only
little bit of
encountered him
aliens,
once.
but
Yeah, I only encountered him once. But yeah, those are the 3. only some of the lesser known West Virginia cryptids.
Oh
There is
my.
a whole lot more. Like there's a lot.
And
There's a lot of them.
we'll probably invite you to come back for more. So, you know.
I would love that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did we just become best friends?
If you give me more time, I'm gonna just start banging them out. Be like, here's some info about the rock. Here's the Snallyguest. Or you want to talk about like Flesh Pedestrian and Wendy's employees sightings? Like,
Oh my god.
Amazing.
dude, that people
do.
say that they've seen that, like Flesh Pedestrians and like you guys know what
Oh.
I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say
Not
them.
flesh pedestrians.
Yes.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say them. Just because out of like respect for the beliefs of the people, and also I am whiter than a freshly fallen patch of snow, and I am not fucking with that juju. Nuh-uh. Nope, no bad vibes for me. Thank you. Y'all can stay over there. I'm gonna stay over here, and we're gonna mind our own business. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's my rambling about the wild and wonderful state that I now live in. And thank you guys for giving me the
Yay.
opportunity.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for being here. We
introducing
really
the
appreciate
cousins
you.
of the Mothman, the ignored cousins of the Mothman, because
Everybody
Yeah.
loves
hogged
the
the
Mothman.
stage.
Everybody
hogged
loves
so
the
cute.
Mothman.
So
He's the golden child of the state.
He is.
We got to
Alright.
talk about the middle children at some point.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
we really
so
appreciate you stepping in and
and
coming
doing
on
this with
from-
us. So we're gonna
Yes,
take a quick
absolutely.
break. We're gonna take a quick 3-minute break. We're gonna run an ad, you guys. We're gonna refresh our waters, and then we'll be right back for my cursed movie set, which is The Wizard
Ooh.
of Oz. So I'm excited
Fun,
for
fun,
it.
fun.
All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get this ad rolling. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Bye-bye. Don't go nowhere.
Hey everybody, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, we got to hear from the amazing Meso. We got to hear from the amazing Melty. Let's go ahead and pull them back over here so everybody can say hello to them again now that we're back. So, yeah, we covered the cursed movie set of The Exorcist. And then Melty gave us a treat by giving us 3 cryptids in one topic. And she covered basically, hold on, the Flatwoods Monster, Indrid Cold, aka the Smiling Man, and hold on, the Grafton Monster. Did I get him right? Did I pass the
Yep.
quiz?
Yay!
You did it.
I paid
3 out of
attention.
3. That's an
See?
A plus.
My ADHD
Yeah.
kept me focused there. But yes.
You did it.
I'm glad you're because of you, Duck. I'm gonna have to grade on a curve now.
Oh God.
Those of you who don't know, I'm a teacher, so.
Oh no.
All right. So, as you guys know, I've been so excited to talk about this topic. I've been so obsessed with, like, growing up, I was obsessed with places that took me everywhere, like took me somewhere else in its own world. So I was obsessed with the Wizard of Oz, because I like the idea of the land of Oz. I was obsessed with Peter Pan because the idea of Neverland was just something that just drew me in. And then for Alice in Wonderland, Wonderland was another world that I wanted to go to. And then in the world of Harry Potter. So I love things that take me to a whole new like world with different rules and different elements, like the Avatar animated series, another
Right.
world, you know what I mean? So I love getting transported into a new world. It's why I probably like the Avatar movies, because I like the idea of going to Pandora. And the only reason we even went to Disney World is because I wanted to see Pandora for myself. And so it was definitely a treat to go. But yeah, I'm obsessed with that. So I've been obsessed with the Wizard of Oz for a very, very long time. And then I found out several years back that there was a lot of bad things that happened in making this movie. So I figured it would be a fun topic to cover for the strangeness of it all, and possibly the fact that, like Miso's topic, it was also cursed. And so I have 6 pages of notes. I'll try and be fast so I don't milk you guys, but it's a huge topic. And the only way I knew how to break it down is by breaking it down per the characters that had big things happen. So I'm going to talk about the Dorothy of it all and all that jazz. So that's the order we're going to be diving into this world. Did you have a question, my dear Misa?
No, I have to squeeze my little stupid team J jaw when I yawn.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I just
I get it.
look like a goofy goof every so often.
So how many of you guys have seen the original Wizard of Oz, the classic Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland as Dorothy?
Yes.
How many
Oh
of you
yes.
guys? Yeah.
Well, I would say most people have, but I guess nowadays it's really fucking old now. So
Well, I'm actually
maybe
going to
the newer
be,
generations
our
haven't.
next movie night, I'm actually going to be streaming the Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz, on our movie night. So that's what we're going to be watching this week for that. And so if you guys wanted to join us, it's on the Discord. The Discord is, just got to follow some rules, and then you can join us for movie night. You don't actually have to open up your camera or talk if you don't want to. You can just mute your mic, and we're going to be in the theater section where no one can talk. They can type in the chat if they wanted to. So we're going to be doing that. But I just wanted to visit that after I talk about everything that happened that actually made it so that this film, it's a miracle that this film actually managed to get finished, wrapped up, and made. So it's absolutely crazy, because people know it as something that goes down in the history of movies and the history of Hollywood, and it made a mark, definitely. And after learning more about it, like I said, I am just amazed that something that brought me to a world of wonder was so horrific to film, because everything looks so pretty and so colorful and lovely and friendly. But then to hear everything that happened behind all of that, it's actually pretty crazy. So I hope you guys enjoy this. So we're going to start with the Dorothy of it all. So Dorothy is the main character for The Wizard of Oz, and she's a little girl that is a farm girl from Kansas that gets transported into a whole new world, and it's a world of color. And it was actually a really big deal for this film to exist because it was around the time that they were testing colored film. So Technicolor was like the camera that they used for this. And so it was in the beginning of introducing color into our TV sets and to our movies that we watch nowadays. So it made a mark in history because of that. But yes, it used a new camera system called the Technicolor system. And because of that, there was a lot of pressure on this film. And it was made by MGM, which for you guys that don't know what MGM is, it's the one with the lion that roars at the screen. And yeah, so if you guys, that's also another interesting
Big
topic.
deal. Yeah.
That is a topic that's like, ooh, dark. Real dark, the company
Yeah.
MGM in general. So, and
Yeah.
we'll learn some of that darkness in this. So, are you aware that Judy Garland was actually not the first choice for Dorothy?
I wasn't.
So, the role for Dorothy was actually a bit of a conflict because one of the producers, there was a lot of producers and directors involved in this film. One of the producers wanted to bring Judy Garland in to play the role of Dorothy, but another person wanted Shirley Temple to play Dorothy.
Oh.
And so there was an argument between the two stars, but then the people that that Shirley Temple had a contract with would actually not lend her or like allow them to use it, so they kind of let it go. Plus, they also learned that the vocal range for the character of Dorothy did not fit the vocal range of Shirley Temple because her vocal range, she could sing, but she had a very limited one. And with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you can see that there was, I don't think that that's something that Shirley Temple, especially at that age, would have been able to accomplish like Judy Garland. So, because of the fact that Shirley Temple wasn't able for that, they settled for a actress that they had with MGM. She was contracted with MGM already, named Judy Garland, except for they told her that she actually needed to lose 20 pounds to play this character. She was too thick to play Dorothy. And they put her in a very strict diet of salad, chicken soup, some controversial diet pills, coffee, cigarettes, and a special cocktail of barbiturates and antihistamines. So she got amphetamine. Sorry, not amphetamine. So she had uppers and downers in her diet for this role, and because she was only 4'11", Judy was only 4'11". Any weight that she would put on would be very, very noticeable for her very small figure. And so, because she was very small, very petite, if she gained any weight, you could clearly tell that she's gained weight. But on top of that, Dorothy, the character of Dorothy, was actually supposed to be 12 years old. And Judy Garland was 16 years old at the time of this filming. So she was 16 trying to play a 12-year-old. And the studio executives actually unlovingly called her their fat little piggy with pigtails on set. And some of the crew members actually also picked up that nickname for her. So she was called a fat little piggy in pigtails on the set at the age of 16, where she's put in this very strict diet of
Oh, whoopsie. I had
ridiculousness.
accidentally muted myself. Yeah, that is fucking crazy. Holy shit. Horrible people, and I can't imagine a bunch of adults coming together to make fun of a teenage girl, but I mean, I guess I kind of can see that though because that's especially back then, young women being targeted was not something that is shocking, unfortunately.
Yeah, so not only was her diet disgusting, but she was a 16-year
Yeah, that's
old,
insane.
and she was very her body was very was maturing very quickly. She was a very curvy girl naturally. She was naturally blessed with curves, but for playing a part of a 12-year-old, that is a problem. So during the filming of it, they actually had to bind her chest to make them not look so big. And yeah, so she was very, very curvy for being a 16-year-old. And then she's trying to play a 12-year-old. So not only they put her on a very strict diet, but they also put binders on her to make her not look pervy and try and pull
Right.
off this role of a 12-year-old girl. So yeah. So due to her maturing figure, like she had a lot of problems with MGM and her diet because she wouldn't want to follow the diet that they gave her. And so they would actually have someone watch everything she eats
Oh
and
my
report
god, dude.
everything she eats to them so that they can keep track of what food she's eating. And so, to make things worse, this movie took about 6 months to film. It was delayed a lot. It wasn't supposed to take that long, but it started in October 1939 and went on until March 1930. Oh, yeah, so 1938 to 1939. So, October till March. So, yeah, she had to eat this really, really gross diet and try and look like a little girl for 6 months of this
That's fucking
binding.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
I would lose
absolutely
my mind if I
insane.
was getting fed that little. I'd be like, "No, I'm good. Someone's gonna die. I need to eat. Give me a Twix for God's sakes." This is crazy."
Yep. And you would think that the way the Wizard of Oz looks, you would think that it would have been the most fun place to work at and film. But everyone that filmed has reported that it was not fun filming The Wizard of Oz. It was a lot of work. It was
Mhm.
exhausting. It was stressful. It was a terrible situation. But despite that, a lot of them said that they're thankful that they were a part of this project because most of them were known for the parts that they played in this film. So, not only was she kind of not only was she kind of like picked on by the producers, but her castmates also picked on her a lot because a couple of her castmates were wanting to work with Shirley Temple, and so they didn't like that this new up and comer little girl is taking the role for Dorothy, and
Oh
they
my
figured
god.
if they harassed her and
Mhm.
made her make a mistake on set, she would get fired, and then they can get Shirley Temple as their character to play Dorothy.
That's so
So
ridiculous, dude.
like like even her own castmates, I think two of the main cast, I think the Tin Man and either the Tin Man or the Cowardly Lion or the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion did not like Judy Garland to start. They actually disliked her because they felt like she was so new that they felt like she would ruin the film, and they didn't like that. They found her to be someone that they disliked because of the fact that she's not only new, but she's also an up and comer, so there's slightly some jealousy there.
Right.
And like I said, a lot of them wanted to work with Shirley Temple, which, by the way, I'm a little concerned by this because, like, I was rewatching Shirley Temple films, and why is it that this little girl had like almost like a boyfriend like relationship with these full grown adult men?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
that's
I
something
mean?
You
that's
know
discussed a
why?
lot. That
Oh,
yeah,
You know
yeah.
why?
So for
Mhm.
me, it's just like, why are you guys so eager to work with Shirley Temple? And then a part of my brain's like, there's also
Yeah.
the weird the weird way that people treated Shirley Temple. Yeah, we're not even
I
talking
know
about Shirley Temple.
exactly what you
We're
mean.
talking
Yeah.
about our girl Judy Garland.
Yeah.
Sorry, I rambled there.
That's
So
a fair rambling.
yeah, so not only was she called like the fat little piggy with pigtails on set by the
Terrible, dude.
people that are like above her, but some of her castmates also picked up that name and like told her that on set, so she was given a bad time on the set. And there was actual alleged reports of Judy Garland not only being drugged on set, which you guys know that the drugs were part of her diet, but she was also treated terribly on the set. She was sexually harassed on set. And to make things worse is like there's reports that the worst of the sexual harassment came from one of the actual owners of MGM, which was
Jesus.
Louis B. Mayer, and he would shamelessly grope her and touch her chest, saying, "Oh, you sing from your chest," and would physically touch her breast while he's saying this. And
Mhm.
so she finally gained the courage to tell him that she didn't want him touching her like that ever again, and she didn't find it acceptable. And so apparently after she shamelessly like blamed him, he started crying, saying, "How could you say that about me? I love you. I've like that I'm in love
Oh
with
God,
you."
what a lunatic.
And so I'm just like,
Fucking baby ass bitch.
uh, uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, it wasn't a good time because not only are the people of power like also the ones that are harassing you in the most terrible ways, but you know, your other castmates also don't like you and have been
Yeah.
harassing you. It's just a bad time.
Everybody is a piece of shit, it seems like, around her. No one's there to protect her.
And so there was actually several reports that mentioned that she was often bullied by the main stars, which is the Cowardly Lion and the Scarecrow, because they
Mhm.
were upset that they were working with Judy Garland. So it was the Scarecrow and the
Ridiculous.
Cowardly Lion. And they would there was one musical dance part that was removed from the Wizard of Oz film because they wanted to keep it within 2 hours, so a lot of the footage was actually removed to keep it within the 2 hour segment. But there was a musical number called the Jitterbug, and so apparently there was footage that they took of this Jitterbug scene where Judy Garland was getting like squished by her castmates and they were like kicking her during this number and like trying to push her to the back. And so the director had to like nip that in the butt. But the number didn't make it into the film anyways because of the fact that they thought that the Jitterbug was a product of its time and they didn't want to age this movie. So they wanted to remove things that were more related to the pop culture of that time, you know? So the Jitterbug number was removed. Let's see. Okay, despite how Judy Garland was treated on set, she kept a very positive front and she would keep a positive front. She was always nice, she was always pleasant. There's been many interviews that talk about how she was just the sweetest and kindest person on set. There was a few of the little people that discussed that she was an absolute darling to all of them despite what she was going through. And she actually really adored Brett Lahr, who was the Cowardly Lion. She adored him so much that she found him so hysterical. So she had to actually do a scene where she has to slap the Cowardly Lion, right? And so she's only 16 years old and she just was like a fangirl of Brett Lahr. So he made her laugh. She genuinely laughed because not only is she like a fan of his work, but he was genuinely being funny as this lion on set.
Right.
So she would laugh because of his fanatics, and she's a 16-year-old girl, of course. And so she managed to ruin 4 to 5 takes because she couldn't stop laughing at Brett Lahr. And so the director, Victor Fleming, yelled cut and took her behind the trees in the set. And he basically told her, "Darling, this is serious business," and slapped her across the face. And then after he
Jesus,
slapped her
dude.
across the face, he said, "Now go in there and work." So after that confrontation, they managed to take the scene and wrap it perfectly. So she was able to step it up and change her roles there. But the director, after slapping Judy, felt like a total asshole for slapping Judy, that he asked one of the castmates or one of the crew people to punch him in the face because he slapped her. And so Judy
Good.
overheard him saying this. And so she approached him and said, "I won't do that, but I'll kiss you on the nose," and proceeded to plant a kiss on his nose. So, despite him slapping her, she managed to still go over there and still be a loving human being and refused to hit him back and just gave him a kiss on the
Yeah, she's a better
nose.
person than me because I'd be like, yeah, knock his fucking block
Would've.
off, bro.
I fucking would've.
Fuck him up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Like,
just,
I'm gonna kick your ass.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, did you guys know that we could have had a completely different looking Dorothy if Richard Thorpe, who was the original director, if the original director for Wizard of Oz was kept under Richard Thorpe, we would have a completely different Dorothy. His concept for Dorothy was to have blonde hair, a blonde wig, and then he wanted her in like a baby doll dress. And then he wanted her because of the fact that she was more of a girl next door. People never saw her as a glamorous actor. They found her beautiful, but they didn't find her glamorous. And
Right.
so what he wanted was for her to have a blonde wig, have super glamorous makeup, and in like a baby doll dress. So just imagine Dorothy in that getup. I can't. I can't because
No, I can't either.
I
It's stupid. It's so
it's
iconic as
she's
it
a
is.
farm girl. What are you
Yeah.
doing glam like why? She's a farm girl. Like she's like that her character is a farm girl from Kansas. Why does she
Why would she be? Yeah.
yeah, why would she be dressed like that?
Especially back then.
Oh yeah. And so the filming of The Wizard of Oz took over 6 months for that, and she was paid a measly $500 a week
Jeez, man.
versus the other lead characters, which was the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man. They got paid $2,500 a week. So they got paid $2,000 more than her, and she is the star of this film. And unfortunately, this film actually took a toll on Judy. And because of this film and how much they had her drugged up, she became an addict and couldn't get over the addiction of the drugs that she was fed. And at the age of 47, only 47 years old, she was found dead in her home on
Oh,
June 22nd because she overdosed.
I hate to hear it, man.
And
But
so
I knew she had passed, but it's crazy how much you realize that that one film influenced her whole life.
well, it doesn't help that her mother also was the one that started giving her the drugs, and
Yep.
then it just made it okay for MGM to do it. But her own
Again,
mother,
lack of laws.
yeah, her own mother was the one that first started giving her drugs at
She
the
wanted that
age.
money.
Like her mom was already giving her drugs at the age of 12. So when they got their hands on her and MGM, basically they gave her a freaking diet that consists of these drugs. And so she's been addicted to drugs since she was 12 years old. And for me, I can't imagine being 12 years old and
Yeah.
having your own mother shovel all these drugs into your system. Um, so Judy's daughter, Liza Minnelli, actually had a open funeral for her. She had the funeral open to the public. The only thing she requested is that people who attend to be quiet and respectful. And there were over 20,000 people who visited her funeral, and they
Oh,
all
wow.
waited and kept in line and waited quietly despite having to wait a very, very long time to view Judy's body. So I'm gonna go show you guys the pictures that we have of Judy Garland. Why is this here? Nope, that's because I have the wrong thing open. Sorry guys. Sorry guys. My bad. My bad. Hold on. Let's go over here. I gotta fix this. I'm so sorry
The
guys.
infinite tunnel.
I'm trying. I'm
The
struggling here.
abyss.
The abyss. The abyss. The abyss. There we go. Got that. Now where is it? There we go. So this is the version of Judy Garland with blonde hair. With the blonde hair, with the glamorous makeup. Her hair was down in this very Alice in Wonderland look. And
I
she
mean, she
had
looks
this,
beautiful, but it's not, it's so
yeah.
different.
So that was like this. I'm not sure if this is the actual final look, but this was the direction Richard Thorpe was going. But I heard it was
Right.
with more makeup, and you can't really see this full outfit, so you can't really see the baby doll outfit
Right.
of it all. And then this is the changes, because after they got rid of Richard Thorpe, he got fired from the set after 2 weeks of filming on the set. They brought an interim director, so a temporary director who worked with a lot of female talents. And hold on, let me grab my notes here. He worked with a lot of female talents, and he was actually very good at that. His name was George Cucker, and he was he was known as helping like with the feminine talents. He knew how to do that. He was also a known gay man, and so in his directing, there's some people that refused to work with him simply because he was gay.
Right.
So, but he did. You know how there's like the line that you can tell if if a designer loves women by the products that they make. So you can tell with the way he treated and like the way he directed female talents, you can clearly tell that he loved women because of the way like he directed Judy
Right.
Garland. He also helped with main the main star of Gone with the Wind. So he was known as someone that worked really well with female talents because of the fact that he just had that nice soft touch.
Yeah, he didn't have, and it also, even though people probably didn't, like you said, didn't want to work with him because he was gay, and that, unfortunately, of its time was fairly common. But I bet it also felt safer for women, especially then. I mean, even now, the abuses we all know are pretty bad. So
Oh
I could
yeah.
definitely see that.
Yep. All right. So that's the Dorothy of it all. If you guys ever want to look up the story of Judy Garland, I feel like she is a person that was so treated badly with the industry. And if you just learned about her life and how hard her life was, it's something that I feel like should be visited. And there's a reason why 20,000 people waited
Visited.
patiently and quietly to view her body at her funeral. You know what I mean? So her story is a very sad story, and it
Right.
is definitely a story of Hollywood letting their talent down for sure.
Yeah. Again, we go back to the abuses and no regulations and all that things that we talked about for The Exorcist. Same thing.
Yep.
Even from the time that this movie was made to the time The Exorcist was made, it was a few decades, and it still was shit for, abuse and all those things, so
All right. So the next person we're going to talk about is the Auntie M of it all. You guys, if you've watched The Wizard of Oz, Auntie M was actually a character that wasn't in the film very long, but she definitely left her mark in the film. Like even though she was there for so little, she did so much with the little that she had on the film. And she is a vital character in this film. She is the reason why Dorothy wants to go home. She's this like strict lady that, may be strict, but you can tell really, really loved Dorothy. And
right.
so the role for Auntie M was played by an actress named Clara Blandick. All her scenes were actually filmed within a week. So this film took 6 months, but her parts only took a week to film.
Oh, wow, yeah,
And
it's a lot in one time, like, small time.
yep, even though her role was small, it was a very vital role to the story.
Mhm.
And the thing about this is, the actress, unfortunately, um, took her own life in 1962 at the age of 82. She was actually losing her eyesight. Her health was greatly deteriorating, and she had severely bad arthritis. So it's painful to even move. And so
Right.
she was in so much pain that she chose to go out her way. And so what she did is she surrounded herself with all of her successes in life. Then after that, she put on her most beautiful dress that she had, her most elegant dress that she had, and then she ended up taking a bunch of sleeping pills and going out that way because of the fact that life was there. She still had a fairly long life at 82, but
Yeah,
it's really really sad that it's such a sad way to go, but at the same time,
yeah.
it's her
She
way
was
to
in so much
go.
pain, yeah.
Yeah, to be in so much pain that it just isn't worth it is just
Quality of life,
absolutely
yeah.
sad. All right, so that's the Auntie M of it all. Let me show you guys who Auntie M is, just because I thought that, she was a very important character. So this is Auntie M with Dorothy.
Oh,
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move along to the Tin Mans of it all. Were you aware that there were three different actors who were cast to play the Tin Man? Three.
I knew there was released 2, but I say because something with the painter or something like that, but
Yeah, so the original actor that was actually cast for the role of the Tin Man was actually Ray Bolger. But Ray Bolger decided to trade his role with Buddy Ebsen, but so he was cast to play Tin Man, and Buddy Ebsen was cast to play the Scarecrow, and so they switched roles. So Ray Bolger was the first choice for the Tin Man. Then it went to Buddy Ebsen, and so Buddy Ebsen was the first Tin Man, and he was only in early production. He was only on the set for I think 2 weeks, maybe 10 days. He was on the set for 10 days. And so the concept of the Tin Man was a new concept for them to make a man look like metal. And so to get the Tin Man look, they decided to actually use aluminum dust all over his skin.
Oh.
Aluminum dust directly all over his skin. And due to the fact that his entire body was coated in this aluminum dust, he started to ingest the aluminum dust. And then 10 days into filming, he started struggling to breathe, and he felt like his chest was cramping, and he was
God.
in so much pain that they had to rush him to the hospital. And it turns out that he was like being exposed to the aluminum powder. Like he was not only like exposed to aluminum powder, not only did he ingest the aluminum powder into his lungs, but he was also allergic to it on top of that.
Oh no.
And so his lungs actually started to fail because of the aluminum dust. And he actually had to sleep in an oxygen tent. You know how they have the oxygen rooms now? Well, back then they had oxygen tents. And so he had to be in an oxygen tent, and he was there for, I believe, 2 weeks. And due to the production already being greatly delayed because of everything else that's happened prior to this, MGM ended up hiring another actor to fill the role of the Tin Man. And Jack Haley was the one that ended up playing the role of the Tin Man, and he's the one that we all know. And so what they did is they like changed the aluminum powder to aluminum paste, so they would make a paste with the aluminum powder, which made it
still seems risky.
which made it a little bit safer.
You might say it still seems like it's probably not good to put on your skin,
Yeah,
man.
so unfortunately,
Oh no.
Buddy Ebsen, he did recover, but he suffered from long-term issues for the rest of his life. So he had breathing problems for the rest of his life. And so with Jack Haley, the aluminum paste did protect his lungs, but it was still toxic. And he actually managed to get it in his eye and got a really serious eye infection from the aluminum
Jesus.
paste. And so he actually had to take 4 days off of filming so they could do minor surgery on his eye because of the aluminum getting into it. They were trying to avoid him permanently losing his sight.
Oh,
So they
Jesus, dude.
actually had to do surgery and fix it before he lost his sight. And not
What a
only
nightmare.
yeah, and not only that, but they expected him back as soon as possible. So,
Maybe stop using the aluminum. That was just an idea. I don't know.
So on top of the aluminum paste, he also had a very bulky and heavy costume, which was about 40 pounds. And so it was heavy, and it, like, you guys know what the Tin Man suit looks like. It's this round, big,
Mhm.
bulky thing, and it's about 40 pounds just hanging on his body. And so he couldn't actually easily sit down. So while filming, they would offer a plank for him to lean on and rest while
Interesting.
he's filming, because he, like, him sitting down would take like 2 people to help him get up. So it's one of those things, like, it's not a very easy to move in
Plausible, yeah.
costume, you know? He's a man made out of tin, and yeah, they definitely, oh my god. And so, believe it or not, the actor who played the Tin Man, aka Jack Haley, ironically passed away from a heart attack in 1979 at the age of 81, which I think it's kind of ironic because the Tin Man, his whole thing is
Needed a
he
heart.
didn't have a heart. And so
Yep.
the actor that played him ended up dying from a heart attack. So, yep. Having fun yet, you guys?
Always.
Oh, all right. So let me show you guys a couple pictures of our dear Tin Man. I'll show you the Tin Man prior to the Tin Man that we saw. So right over here, you've got Buddy Ebsen as the Tin Man. As you can see, that is not the face you guys recognize from the Wizard of Oz film. So he was the original one that was cast as the Tin Man, and he was the one that had breathing problems for the rest of his life because of this film. Then after that, you've got the picture of Buddy Ebsen and Jack Haley side by side. So the difference in the Tin Man right there. You can see that they changed the suit and added the paint to the face right here, and then they added the other stuff later on. So that's them side by side, and this is the one we all know. This is Jack Haley's version
Yep.
of the Tin Man. Yes, Zocco, we'll get to that, Zocco. Don't you worry, we will get to that.
Yeah, but I say, oh yes, it was just a nice
We're just
leg
touching.
filled set.
We're just on the tip right here. So that was the Tin Man of it all. Now we're going to discuss the Scarecrow of it all. So the role for Scarecrow went to Ray Bolger. And so, yeah, Ray Bolger was originally cast for the Tin Man, but he traded roles with Buddy. So Ray Bolger managed to play the Scarecrow. And the Scarecrow's face was actually a latex prosthetic, and it was made to look like a burlap sack, right? It was made to look like a burlap sack, and so they actually had to apply it on his face, and it took them forever to put makeup on all of these cast members, like the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow. All of them, their makeup took forever.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It took forever, so they actually had to be seated separately from everybody else so that they can eat away from everybody else. And some of them weren't even allowed to eat. They had to drink shakes because of the fact that the makeup that they have on was toxic. So they didn't want them consuming
Nightmare.
it, so they would just have them drinking from a straw. It's
Oh my God.
nuts.
They were really putting people on crazy diets.
Oh yeah. The main four went through hell. Actually, the main like five went through hell. So the Scarecrow, so they basically, it was like a woven pattern that was placed across the actor's skin. And so even when they were done filming, it took over a year for Ray Bolger's skin to actually heal. And so his chin and the corners of his mouth where the prosthetics were applied had a permanent indent. So he had a permanent indent on his chin and his jaw over here. And you can actually see it in some of his in some of his older photographs after this. Like, even though it's been years, you can still see that wherever the Scarecrow's mouth was and the chin area where the burlap sack would get placed over had permanent skin damage for it. So
Jesus.
yeah, his face was forever changed due to this role. So that was the Scarecrow of it all. Do I have a picture of the Scarecrow? I do. So let me
Thank
show
God the
y'all.
movie's so iconic, or they really wouldn't have been worth
So
it.
you guys can like right over here where his mouth is, where there was a permanent indent there, and then his chin had permanent indents of where the prosthetics were applied, and so his face was permanently changed because of this. Ray, it's funny you say that, Ray. It's funny you say that. Oh my God, Ray, you have no idea. I'm about to. Oh my God, we'll get to all the shit. We're just getting into this is the top of the iceberg, you guys. This is just the main cast right now that we're looking at. So that was the Scarecrow, and now we're gonna talk about the Cowardly Lion. As you guys know, the Cowardly Lion was played by Bert Lahr, who was, the person that Judy Garland was fangirling over. And he actually wasn't the first choice for the role of the Cowardly Lion. The producers were actually considering using either their lion, Leo the Lion, to actually play the role of the Cowardly Lion and just have someone dub over the lion. So if you guys don't know who Leo the Lion is the iconic lion that you see in the MGM screens. It's the lion that roars on the screen. So that's who Leo the lion is. So MGM had their own little lion, and his name was Leo. And this was him. So he was the original choice for the Wizard of Oz. And they just thought it was going to be too dangerous to do all that.
Yeah,
But
no
yeah,
shit.
this is the MGM, the lion roaring thing, for those of you guys that don't know. But the other option that they had for this, the other option that they actually had for this was, if it wasn't going to be Leo the lion, they were actually thinking of playing with the concept of having the Cowardly Lion as an actual animated character in the film, like a cartoon character in the film, like Roger
Interesting.
Rabbit. So they were
Yeah.
actually considering that the Cowardly Lion be an animated character.
Very
But
interesting.
they turned down that idea, and they decided that Bert Lahr was the perfect fit for the Cowardly Lion. And the thing about that is, they just felt like it was safer than having a real lion on set, for sure. And then the animated
That's
thing,
fair.
they had to figure out a new system for the animation of that and all that stuff. But did you know that the costume of the Cowardly Lion was actually made of real lion fur, like real
God.
lion hide? The entire costume came from a real lion. PETA would not be pleased nowadays. PETA would
Jesus.
not be happy. And so it was made of real fur, and it was extremely heavy and extremely hot. And
Yeah, I bet.
with this film, because it was a film that was playing with the Technicolor camera, this set had so many lights. They actually had so many lights that they had to rent lights from other companies that do film. They actually had to get lights and rent lights from them so that they would have enough lights. So this set, because they wanted to capture all these colors, had so many lights that the set was extremely hot, extremely uncomfortable to work with. And on top of that, you've got all these people in layers and layers of either makeup or their costumes. So, oof.
Right.
Yeah, so it was extremely heavy and extremely hot. And the heat from the light set made it hot for all the actors. But Bert Lahr was wearing this suit. So by the time he would take off this suit, he would be soaked to the bone in just sweat. And
Ooh.
on top of that is they would hang dry the costume to kind of dry it, but they would come back and the costume was still soaking wet. And apparently there were so many complaints about how much this suit actually stunk, and it got so bad that mold started to actually
Oh,
grow on the
Ugh.
costume itself.
nasty.
And so, due to how complicated the Cowardly Lion's makeup is and the costume was, he wasn't allowed to eat between the takes. So they told him he had to do shakes. So he was okay with doing shakes. But once he found out that this film was getting delayed and delayed and delayed, his body couldn't take it anymore, just having a shakes diet and soup diet and having to drink everything through a straw, that he demanded that he get his costume removed and redone after he eats. So he actually had to like fight to be able to eat because of the fact that what he was eating for so long wasn't
enough, man.
sustaining
Yeah.
him. And oh my god. Oh my god. I have so much to say. So much to say. So let me go ahead and show you guys the Cowardly Lion you all remember. So this is Bert Lahr's little Cowardly Lion and his little red bow. He's so cute. I love him. He's a cute little baby. All right, so that's the Cowardly Lion, and now we're going to talk about, I feel like, the actress that suffered the most on this filming, and we're going to talk about the good old Wicked Witch of the West. Did you know that Margaret Hamilton was not the first choice to play the role of the Wicked Witch of the West?
I did not.
Their first choice was actually a actress, a movie star named Gail Sondergaard. She was about 40 years old, And Gail actually did some costume tests for the original concept of what they had for the original concept that they had for the Wizard of Oz. And believe it or not, the Wizard of Oz wanted the evil witch, the original concept, they wanted the evil witch to be a glamorous, beautiful witch like the evil queen from Snow White. And so they wanted a elegant, beautiful, evil witch. And so Gail was excited to play the role because she gets to play this like beautiful witch, you know, and play that character. But the studio executives decided to go a different direction, and they felt like they don't want a lovely evil queen. They wanted like the old hag witch, and they wanted to play with green makeup because it's a colored film, so they wanted to like really, you know, commit to like the ugly hag. So after she found out that they were trying to uglify the Wicked Witch of the West, the actress, who was an Oscar winner, declined the role, not wanting to look older and also a bit afraid of the green makeup. She also expressed that she had no desire to appear ugly in any film, and she didn't feel like it was a good direction for her acting career. And she ended up dropping out of the role, and MGM took one of their contracted actresses that they already had in contract with them, which was Margaret Hamilton. And so she landed the role of the iconic Wicked Witch. And yeah, I guess it's a good thing that Gail turned down this role, being someone that was very concerned about her appearance, because it turns out the green makeup that was used on the witch was extremely toxic and had copper in it.
Oh, we're all shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet nobody ever saw that coming.
Extremely toxic green makeup that had copper in it. So I'm going to show you guys the original concept for the Wicked Witch of the West. You guys are going to fucking trip because you would not expect this. This was the original concept of the Wicked Witch of the West. They wanted to, she was heavily inspired by the evil queen from Snow White. And so this is the Wicked Witch that they wanted to originally do. This is the Wicked Witch that was like to the blonde Dorothy with the baby doll and the over glamorized makeup. This was that version's Wicked Witch of the West. And
or just the Wicked Witch of the yes. The yes.
I mean,
I like that.
And this is what Wizard of Oz went for. And this is Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch of the West in her iconic green makeup.
Just a little cancer.
Just a little bit. Okay, so not only was the makeup that they used for her extremely toxic, it actually it stained her skin green. Like her skin was stained because of the copper for months. So even months after filming this film, she had stains all over her skin because of the makeup that they used on it. And so you know how when you wear a fake ring and then you get that green thing on your finger? Yeah. So imagine that, but all over your body.
Man, I'd be so mad.
Several months after the film. Yeah. But not only was the makeup toxic, there was a lot of iconic scenes of the Wicked Witch, and most of them had smoke and fire involved.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
So,
wonder where this is going. I don't know, man.
Yep, her skin was stained months after filming because of the makeup that they used on it. So, there were actually many accidents that happened during the filming of The Wizard of Oz. And unfortunately, quite a few of those accidents happened to the Wicked Witch of the West.
No.
So, not like there's a scene where the flying monkeys take off and they're flying, so they fly past her, right? And so 2 of the flying monkeys, their wires ended up breaking. So they ended up getting sent to the hospital because they broke some bones because the strings that
Ooh.
was holding him up while they were flying broke and dropped them. So that's some of the flying monkeys. But with Hamilton, her character had two different costumes. They had the regular costume and the fireproof costume.
Oh no.
And you know what was used for a lot of the fireproof costumes back in that time? Asbestos!
Yeah.
It was very
We're
popular
we're
in the
asbestos now.
film industry because of the fact that it was inflammable material. So it was used a lot in the fireproof costumes. And so you're asking why fireproof, right? Well, there were several scenes that required smoke and fire for the Wicked Witch, and that's usually when she makes her entrance or her exit into a scene. And so in the scene where she disappears into bright red smoke, the way it worked is it's in the middle of the yellow brick road. And so there's a platform that would drop her, and then the red smoke would come up and cover her exit from the stage, right? Because she disappeared. So basically, there was a mechanic underneath the set that would drop her when the smoke came to be and all that stuff. So the first take went really, really well. She did it well. And the director's like, okay, it was perfect, but I want another
one.
shot.
Mhm. Of course.
So they did it a second time, and unfortunately, Margaret Hamilton wasn't able to exit fast enough before the fire crew effects came to be. And so because of that, the fire from the special effects caught her broom and her hat, and it burned
Oh,
her
boy.
face. It singed her eyebrows, it singed her eyelashes. The green paint that was toxic was entering her skin because of the fact that her skin was getting burned, and this makeup was entering the burned wound.
Oh
and
God.
and so she got burned everywhere. She had a burn in her face. Both her hands were burned. Both her hands were completely burned. And yeah, she the green paint they had to like remove. And so that was a very dangerous stunt for the set. And despite everything that happened to her, the studio got the makeup on her, left, and after they got the makeup left on her, they left her for her own devices. So she ended up having to actually call one of her friends to pick her up on set and take her to the
Ridiculous,
hospital.
dude. Jesus Christ.
So while she was recovering in the hospital, the executive actually asked when she would be back and continue to filming. And it took over 6 weeks for her to heal. And they called her frequently, asking her to come back and set. Frequently asking her to come
My
back on
flesh
set
is not healed yet.
while
I'm
she's
sorry.
still healing.
Ridiculous, dude.
And
I am
so
one with the flame.
And so they asked her to come back a day earlier, and they basically said that they were just going to have her take a look at a scene that they wanted to do and give her instructions on the scene, and that they weren't going to film, right? So she came in to go and look at what the scene that they wanted to discuss with her. And the director asked her how she was recovering, and he asked to see her hands. So she showed her hands, unwrapped it, and showed that her hands aren't even healed yet. They're still open wounds, you know? Her skin had like her nerves are still like exposed because
Yeah.
her flesh was gone. And so
Right.
like her skin hadn't come back with. And so the director apparently squeezed her hands, and he's like,
Oh my
"Oh,
God.
seems good enough," and offered her a pair of green gloves and had her continue filming.
Oh my God, dude. What a dick.
And so she considered suing MGM, but decided not to because she was afraid that she would be blacklisted from acting. And so she wanted to keep on working. So she didn't sue MGM because she just wanted to continue doing the thing that she was passionate about, which was acting. So she just literally she stayed in
That's
contract
very
with
terrible,
MGM and
dude.
kept working for them.
Right.
But after that, she refused to do any scenes that required fire, and she refused to do any scenes that required her flying. So there was a scene, despite her being very clear that she didn't want to do these and they needed a double for this, there was a scene where the witch flies away on her broom. And so the way this effect worked, because back in the day, they didn't have special effects. So all the
Right.
effects in The Wizard of Oz is practical effects. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that they did was not CGI. It wasn't any special effects. It was genuine, actual film magic, is what it is. And so there was a scene where the broom flies away with the witch, right? And the way they fashioned this is the broom hid a pipe inside of it, and this pipe would be attached to a smoke machine that would produce the black smoke that comes out of her broom as she flies away and makes the text for "Bring Dorothy out." You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so they tried to get her to get on the broomstick and ask if she wanted her fireproof costume or her regular costume. And she's all like, why are we doing a fire costume? And they explained that there was a stunt that was involved in this, and she refused to film. She's like, no, I will
don't
not
blame
be
her.
getting on that.
I don't blame her
So
at all.
Hamilton refused to play that part, and so they had to bring the double in, and she went home. Not more than an hour after she was home, she got called by MGM. And they're all like, we need you to finish filming your scenes. And she asks, what happened to my double? So, her
Uh-oh.
double performed the trick the first time very well. And then the
Never
director
happy.
wanted to film it again. Second time around, the mechanism went off like it's supposed to, went off successfully. Then the director decided he wanted a third cut.
Oh my god. Greedy.
And this is where it all went wrong. So, the mechanism that was supposed to make her fly away from the broom. Let me see. I'm trying to find what happened to the scene here. Okay. So the mechanism that was supposed to create the smoke from the broom, that pipe that was inside of the broom, ended up exploding.
Of course.
And so she falls from the sky from where she was at and managed to catch herself with her knee on the broom. So she literally was falling, caught herself with her leg and hooked her leg on that broom to keep her, because she was 15 feet above the air. And so she clung onto that with her leg, and she was hanging upside down. And yeah, despite that, she managed to get an open wound on her leg, and they had to send her to the emergency room because of that. And the hospital was like, oh yeah, we have a couple of the flying monkeys in our ER room right now.
Yeah, but I say, no, you guys are filling it up.
And so
it's been real good for business for that hospital. I'll tell you what. They say, nah, you keep doing as you are.
And so, yeah, the stunt double ended up getting hurt. And Margaret Hamilton, they kept the shots that they kept. They didn't force her to that. But another thing came to be. So Margaret Hamilton, you guys know her role in the Wizard of Oz, right? She played a really good Wicked Witch. She's a very iconic role. But are you aware that they had to remove so much of her footage because The Wizard of Oz was supposed to be a children's film, and when they showed a screening of it, the response was she was too scary. She was too scary, that they literally had to cut a lot of the roles that she played, a lot of the scenes that she played, because she was deemed to be too scary. She was too good at being the Wicked Witch that they had to cut footage of her because she was so scary. And I'm just like, damn, if I had to play a villain and I scared kids like that, I feel like I
Successful.
won a medal. Like, I swear to God. But yeah, so that was the
You
Wicked
win at
Witch of it
acting at
all.
that point. You win.
That's right. You are the Wicked Witch.
So now we're getting into the Oz of it all. So the Wizard of Oz was played by an actor named Frank Morgan. But did you know that he actually played 4 other roles in this film?
Oh, interesting.
He played Professor Marvel. He played the carriage driver to Oz. He played the Emerald City Guard. And he played the man behind the curtain. So he
Of
played
course.
5 roles. So Frank Morgan played 5 roles in this. And the only weird thing about the Oz is where they filmed the face of the Wizard of Oz. Apparently that set was constantly on fire. Constantly on fire. Like the throne was constantly on fire and had so much fire issues that thank God no one actually sat on that throne because it was constantly a problem with fire.
It's so
So,
funny how many issues they had with fire.
oh yeah, so much
Seems to be
issues
a
with
issue.
fire. And so now we're going to talk about Toto and the Munchkins. So
Oh,
we're
no.
going to get a little bit rough on this one. So, to play the roles of the Munchkin, MGM actually cast about 124 little people and about 12 child actors, and all of them were paid $50 a week.
Wow.
Which is, if you think about it, $50 a week. And to add insult to injury, the dog that played Toto was paid $125 a week.
Bro.
So the little people were paid $50 a week, and the dog played 100.
That's fucked up.
Was 125 per week. Well, the dog trainer got paid 125 per week. So not only was this controversial because of the low pay for the Munchkins, but the people that cast the Munchkins only wanted to cast white actors to play the Munchkins. So
Oh my God, of course.
any of the little people that were in the film industry that were Black or of color, that were actually in a lot of numbers, dancing numbers and all that stuff, they weren't taken into this role because they wanted only white actors to play this. And the Munchkins, some of them even came from like overseas. And so the Munchkins were confined of Germans, Czechoslovakian, and American. And they were also treated very, very badly. So MGM, to promote the Wizard of Oz film, put them all in a bus and would tour the country with a bus full of the Munchkins to promote the film. So they were treated as promotional props by being driven around in a
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Aw, Jonathan, thank you for that, babes. You're so sweet.
Aw.
He gave us a little Mr. Rogers quote, saying, if you could
Good
only
old
sense
Mr.
how
Rogers.
important, yeah, right? If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to the people you may never even dream of, there is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person, which is true. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for that. So the Munchkins were treated pretty badly, and they were all put in a hotel. And one thing that I found very interesting about the Munchkins is they all had very thick accents because of where they came from, that they actually were dubbed over. They were actually dubbed over. And so Ken Darby, who was the was the sound engineer, he wanted to try a special technique, which I learned this technique from like the Munchkins, where he would speed up the recording of the people to give them that quick high-pitched tone like the Munchkins.
Yeah.
Or like that, like Alvin and the Chipmunks. And so
Yeah.
that was where that was a technique that he was trying to play with. And he actually hired several voice actors to voice over the Munchkins. And then after they voice over the Munchkins, he introduced that technique and played with the technique of playing with the pitch and speed of speaking. So
That's very interesting.
now we're getting into the background stuff. So we're going to discuss the iconic Poppy scene. Do you guys actually, I forgot to show you guys Frank Morgan. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's go. This is Frank Morgan and all the roles that he played. He was Professor Marvel.
Oh, it's funny. You can definitely tell when you're
Yeah.
looking at it side by side.
There was a little bit in the movie where it's the changing of guards. And so this guard would be like, it's time to change the guards. And so he walked away, but after he walked away, he turns his mustache and goes back to them and pretends that he's a whole new guard.
That's very good.
But yeah, so he played the carriage
appreciate that.
driver, he played the guard, he played the person that watches the gate, and then he played the man behind the curtain. So that's Frank. He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. I like him. He's pretty cool. And I think that's it for my pictures for this. So do you guys know the iconic Poppy scene? Do you guys remember the iconic Poppy scene? Oh, we've got a emote only chat. Give me a second, you guys. Let me turn on the emote only. Here we go. Emote only chat. Let's go. Spam your emotes, babies. All right. So the iconic Poppy scene, for those of you guys that don't know, the iconic Poppy scene is where they're so close to Emerald City and the the Wicked Witch decides to slow them down from getting to Emerald City. And so a poppy field is all around Emerald City. And so what happens is the poppy field puts them all to sleep.
Whoa.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Ooh, wait, mama.
Jonathan, thank you for those birthday subbies. Thank you for giving all those gifted subs to everybody. Oh, you gave one to Tired Eyes? Oh
What?
my god.
Did we just become
I'm
best
sure
friends?
she
Yep.
would love that so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is awesome. Thanks for that. Thanks for shouting out, Jonathan.
What?
course.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
I'm gonna wait for the sound alert to finish first. I think we've got a few more before it's done.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Just give me a second. We've got a few more. Actually, can I pause it real quickly? I think I can. Please hold.
What? Did we just become
Hopefully
best
that works.
friends? Yep.
If it doesn't work, then that's fine. All right. Oh, my notes. Fudge, my notes. Ah! Don't panic. Don't panic.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Thanks for the emotes, you guys, and thank you for those subbies. All right, so in this scene,
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
they all start to fall asleep except for the Tin Man. The Tin Man does not fall asleep, but he does rust over. And so what
Did
happens
we just become best
is,
friends? Yep.
for the way Galinda the Good decides to help them is she decides to bring snow.
What? Did we just
over
become
the
best
poppy
friends? Yep.
field.
Oh boy.
Snow over the poppy field so that it can wake them
What?
up
Did
from
we just become best
the
friends? Yep.
smell of the poppies, right? And so what was a very popular choice for snow back in the film industry, you guys?
I think I know.
Wait,
It's-
don't tell me.
Can you
It's
guess?
asbestos.
Asbestos.
Yay,
Yay, asbestos.
Yay.
Cryosotile asbestos. It was often marketed as fake snow because not only was this fireproof, but the way this stuff would drop gave it a very real snow effect. So it was very commonly used on films for snowy scenes because it gave it that romantic drop, that romantic Cancer in the air, you guys. Yup.
Oh yes.
And they also loved it because
Gotta love
it was
it.
fireproof. So not only did we have like asbestos on the freaking actors' faces while they pretended to sleep in the poppy field, But they also had fireproof suits with asbestos. So
Just everywhere. They're very
yeah.
toxic set for multiple reasons.
Oh yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. That's a little bit of their theater magic or their movie magic is the asbestos of it all. And now we're going to move on to the red shoes. Are you aware that in the storybooks, they were actually not red? They were actually crystal shoes. They were known as crystal shoes, and they were known as like this clear silvery shoe. But due to the fact that they were filming this in Technicolor and they wanted to capture and test out this camera, they actually ended up changing the silver slippers to what we now know as the iconic ruby slippers. And so the only reason that we know it today, and that's why when people watch Wicked, for those of the guys that watch Wicked, they're like, why is the shoe not red? Because in the Wicked film, I think they decided to go the direction of the crystal shoes rather than the
Ruby, yeah.
ruby slippers. But yeah, it was originally the silver slipper or the crystal slipper, but they changed it to test out the camera's vibrancy and color. They wanted to introduce as much color on this film as possible because it was right in the beginning of having colored film, and it was exciting, and it was a new technology that they wanted to be a part of. So that's how they became the ruby red slippers. All right, let me go ahead and whoops, please hold. Whoops, please hold. All right, there we go. We're back to normal. All right. So now we're going to talk about the weird things that are relating to the costumes. So you already know that the Cowardly Lion's costume was made out of real lion. It stunk and started to break, to like turn, like started to grow mold. But recently it was auctioned off for $3 million. Someone paid $3 million for that suit. I'm sure they probably cleaned it thoroughly. I think. I hope. Maybe. Hopefully it doesn't stink anymore. I hope they did something to make it fresh, you know?
Maybe they wanted, they probably wanted the stink.
Stanky. Ugh. The stanky mold. No, thank you. Ugh. Yeah. But yeah, so it sold for $3 million in auction, you guys. I think that that's really crazy. So there were several versions of Dorothy's dress, but one of Dorothy's iconic blue dresses actually was donated to the Catholic University Catholic University Drama Department. And so they donated one of these dresses for the school, and it went missing not long after it arrived in school. 40 years later, the school had to do some renovations, and while prepping for the day, they found a garbage bag on top of one of the faculty's mailboxes, and there was a mysterious note on it saying, this was, like, I found this in my office. No, they said, this was found in the former chair's office while they were cleaning it out. And inside this bag was a shoebox. When they opened the shoebox, it contained the Dorothy dress that went missing 40 years ago. And so they now have it. But Dorothy's dress went missing for 40 years. And they just found it when they did some renovations. And it was apparently in one of the people's offices, just in the corner there in a garbage bag. Or
was
someone
it in decent
took
condition?
it. It was yellowed. It was yellowed. And so part of me feels like it was most likely stolen and brought back. Part of me feels like that. I highly doubt that something like that would just get forgotten in a corner somewhere. And the way it came to them was in a shoebox when that's not how it was sent to the school itself, kind of thing. So, so that's interesting about Dorothy's dress. And then the ruby slippers. So the iconic ruby slippers were actually displayed in the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota in 2005. And not long after it was being displayed in the museum, someone broke into the museum and smashed the glass and stole the ruby slippers.
Jesus.
So the ruby slippers actually went missing for 13 years and
Jesus.
actually managed to make an appearance in 2018. So the shoes were stolen by a man named Terry John Martin, and he was 76 at the time. And he
Wow.
came out of jail. He had trouble with the law, came into jail, was arrested for stealing, and then was out of jail for a while, and then ended up stealing the ruby red slippers. Except for he was under the impression that their shoes were actually made out of real rubies. And
Oh, you
so
goofy
that's
man.
why he thought, like, that's why he stole it. And so, yeah, it took 13 years for the shoes to be found. But yeah, I thought that that was absolutely crazy. And then Professor Marvel's coat is.
Can anyone else not hear Daku?
Is my mic not working anymore?
Is it just me? I think my headset might be fucked. It
Chat,
might just be me.
Chat, can you hear me?
Okay, it might be
I
me.
can hear you,
Keep on
Daku.
going.
Okay. So, Professor Marvel, for those of you guys that don't know who he is the guy that when Dorothy runs away from home, she
Thanks.
meets him in his like trailer, and she talks about like why she's running away and she's crying, and he's actually the reason she goes back home, because he makes up a lie saying he was looking in his crystal ball and he sees a lady crying, looking for Dorothy. She's holding her heart. She's collapsing. So that's Professor Marvel. He was also Oz himself. So the directors or the MGM wanted to have a authentic Victorian jacket for this character. And so they sent some people to go to a bunch of secondhand stores to try and find the perfect coat for Professor Marvel. And they went to a lot of stores and couldn't find the right Victorian coat. So they went to a secondhand shop that was not too far from the studio, and they went into this place. They couldn't find anything, but in the corner there was a jacket hanging on a coat rack. They found it and thought it was like the perfect fit for what they were looking for. So they ended up buying this jacket from the thrift store, and it became the iconic coat that Professor Marvel wore. But during filming, Frank Morgan would, like I said, there was a lot of lights here, so the set was really, really hot. So during the filming, Frank Morgan would turn out the pockets of the coat to try and let it dry, because he would get sweaty because of all the lights and the heat. And so whenever they would take a break, he would turn out the pockets to like let it air out and dry. And when he did that, one of the assistants saw a stitching inside of the pocket. And they learned that the name embroidered inside of the pocket of this jacket that they found randomly in a second-hand store was owned by L. Frank Baum himself, who was the writer of the Wizard of Oz books.
That's fucking crazy.
So
where are the odds?
Wild.
coat that he had managed to end up in the film
That's awesome.
made about his book. And that to me is wow. I think that
That's
is
wild.
so
That's insane. Yeah.
fucking nuts.
Absolutely whack.
Yep.
And it's a cool fact that doesn't involve anyone being treated like shit.
Right? Like, yo,
Alright.
how long we wait for one of these, huh?
So we're almost there, you guys. We're almost there. Hang in there, guys. So we're going to talk about the drugs of it all.
Woo!
So,
Yippee!
you know. Okay. The actor was in such a strict time schedule that they would work 30 hours and then they would be given drugs to make them go to sleep. And then they would be woken up 4 hours later and give uppers to help wake them up so they can film for another 30 hours.
Wow.
So they would work for 30 hours,
Man.
get drugged to sleep, get woken up 4 hours later, drugged to wake up, and then film, and it repeated. And this went on for 6 months, you guys. 6 months. And now you wonder why Judy Garland was struggling with addiction so much near the end of her life, because it
Just being
became,
pumped full of drugs nonstop.
yeah. And so, because of the film being delayed, because of all the problems that it was having, because of the recasts and the rewrites that they had to do, the film ended up taking 6 months. And this was during the time that MGM would produce 50 films in a year. And they would just produce films and hope that one would stick. And they would just keep on going. So films were just getting spit out. And so this
Right.
was a very expensive project for them. And so they were very strict on the time. And so they drug their cast. And I think that that is absolutely crazy. And it really is amazing with all of the things that happen in this film that it still managed to exist to this day.
Right.
Did you guys know? Would you be surprised to learn that after The Wizard of Oz was released, it was actually a flop?
Oh, no, I actually did not know that.
It was known as a flop. So, despite it being filmed with technically advanced things for the movie industry, like it went from the sepia tone to the colored and that dynamic on it, it actually like didn't succeed because around the time it was released, it was actually released along the time that there was so much technical advancements happening in films that it was actually known as the year of what was it called? It was like the year of like the year of the movie industry. Like they had so many things come out because
Like a
around this,
golden age.
yeah, it was definitely, yeah. Um it basically flopped. So it cost about $2.8 million to film The Wizard of Oz, which was the
Wow, yeah.
most expensive
That's a lot.
production for MGM for its time. It was the most they've ever
Mhm.
spent on a film. One of the directors was surprised that they weren't fired because of how much money was going into this film. Like he was surprised that they were like, we're just gonna cut
Right.
this film because
They
they
didn't pull
spent
the
so
plug.
much money on this. But it ended up only making $3 million in the box office. And so this film was made for children. And so parents would take their children to watch this film, and kids loved this film. And so the parents would take groups of kids to rewatch this film over and over again. Problem is, kids' tickets were a fraction of of the cost of adult tickets. So they weren't making as much
Any
money from
money.
these films because the children's tickets were too low. And most of the people that came and watched this over and over and over again were parents with hordes of children. So they weren't making the money from the ticket from the box office. And so the kids loved it. It hit its like target audience. It hit its target audience, but the movie was considered a flop. And it was considered a flop because it had to compete with a lot of things. It was the greatest year in the history of Hollywood is what it was known for because of all the advancements made. And
Right.
one of the films it had to compete with is Gone with the Wind. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So the film eventually made a profit when it was re-released in theaters in 1949. So it was released in 1939. 10 years later, they re-released it in the theaters and it made a profit, but it still didn't gain much popularity. So it didn't gain much popularity. And you're like, how the fuck did this film come down as a film that made it in history, right? Well, in 1959, they had television in people's homes, and MGM wanted to make more money from this film that they put so much into it that
Right.
MGM allowed specific channels to show this on TV once a year. So, CBS would show The Wizard of Oz once a year on their channel, and they would release it around the holidays. And so it's when the families were all together. And so families gathering together for the holidays would end up sitting together and watching this with their own TV sets at home. So, because of the fact that it became a traditional thing and it only came out once a year on channels, families started to actually look forward to it being released. And then that's when it just started to skyrocket in popularity because people were experiencing this fantastic world in their own living rooms next
And
to their
yeah,
family
but say way
members,
more
you know?
accessible.
And so TV actually saved The Wizard of Oz. And TV is what made its popularity skyrocket. And it actually became something that was demanded by the audiences. So then it became a classic as we know it today. So, can you fucking believe this shit? It's
Yeah, no, it's
crazy.
been an insane ride, honestly.
Wild.
So, with all the things that happened on this set, it is seen as a cursed movie set because there were so
bet.
many issues, so many accidents, and this film should have never existed, especially with the amount of money that they put into it. They were surprised it managed to make it. And it kind of breaks my heart because before it even gained the popularity and respect of the audiences, some of the actors that acted in it had already passed away before they could see this film thrive.
Well, be successful, yeah.
And so, yeah. And I believe as of now, every single cast member for The Wizard of Oz is dead, I believe. Yeah.
I mean, it's when was the original release date?
It was released in 1939.
Yeah, I fucking bet most of them have passed at this point for sure.
Yeah, so that's what we've got for The Wizard of Oz. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I've got more that I was going to bring up in the Ghoulish Bites section because I didn't want to
Yes.
form this. So let's go ahead and take a little break. We're going to go ahead and get the Ghoulish Bites set up, you guys, and then we're going to discuss our topics for today. And then we'll close it out after that. And we're going to have Melty help us with our closing later. So we're going to take another break, our last break for the night. So go ahead and grab your waters, replenish your waters, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're back. I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you're hanging in there. I know it's a long episode. I tried to blow through my topic, but there was just so much, and I didn't even get to cover everything, you guys. It's crazy, but I didn't get to cover everything. We'll cover some of that stuff in the Ghoulish Bites segments. Let's go ahead and bring the ladies back over here and show them some love. So let's go and bring back the ladies. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
So, what'd you guys think of the Wizard of Oz shenanigans? Did you guys know all that already?
I did not know most of that, actually.
I knew some
There's
of
a lot of new
that, like
information.
the thing with the Tin Man and the asbestos with the
Yeah,
Wicked
that
Witch
one
of the
I knew.
West. Yeah. But like Jesus fucking Christ, who the hell thought that shit was a good idea? I want to fucking speak to your manager, dog.
Yeah, they did not have a lot of good paint options, apparently.
Evidently not.
But I definitely think that both of our movies were cursed by the same thing, and that's horrible studios
Greed.
and directors.
Horrible,
Yeah, and greed.
horrible,
Mhm.
greedy studios that don't appreciate their
Lack of
talent. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
lack
What?
of
Did we
Sounds
just
pretty
become
standard.
best friends? Yep.
Thank you, Otaku. I really appreciate that, baby. So, we've got the Ghoulish Bite segment. In this segment, we talk about other extra things. We also ask our guests what their favorite snack is at the time. So, do you have a favorite snack right now?
That's a great question. I'm kind of a bad noodle because I'm not eating as much as I should right now.
oh,
But I do. Oh God. I mean, I guess I got Pop Tarts. I don't know, man. I don't
Pop-Tarts
know.
are delightful. What
I
kind?
don't know. These ones I got are. I'm gonna move away from my desk for a second, so my model's gonna freak out. But don't worry, everything's okay. This box is Frosted Hot Fudge Sundae.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
I'm a boring Pop-Tart eater. I eat the brown sugar one, and I'm happy with the brown sugar.
Nice.
That I'm happy with that one. I'll occasionally have a strawberry one, but most of the time I'll go with the brown sugar maple syrup one.
Yep.
That's
The
my
frosted brown
jam.
sugar. Yep.
But you know what?
Well, I
That and
don't
the
like those, so
frosted.
any ones that I get, I'm going to you guys, I guess. So
I say frosted brown sugar, frosted strawberry, and the chocolate fudge ones.
Oh
My
yeah, I can't do the
favorites.
chocolate fudge ones. They hurt the back of my throat. Like it just causes my
Interesting.
yeah. I don't know what
No.
it is about the chocolate.
No, I get you.
It's just not about
Chocolate
it.
does a similar thing to me. It makes me really fucking thirsty.
But I'm a
And it's like
toaster
I gotta go
strudels
through an
girl.
entire one.
I love a
Mm.
Pop Tart, but if I had to choose, I would always go with a toaster strudel.
Strawberry
just-
toaster
Respect, respect.
strudels.
I get the strawberry cream cheese one where it's got the cream cheese in the middle and the strawberry in the sides.
Absolutely.
Oh my
yes.
god. Yes.
That's the only one to get.
So my current favorite snack right now, well, you guys know I'm still snacking on my cucumbers. I can't stop eating the cucumbers, but I have been eating a lot more popcorn lately. And then my sister got the
Poppers are good.
Pop-Op one, and she got the pickle flavored stuff, and that's good. And I want more of the pickle flavored stuff. So pickle flavored pickles, pickle flavored popcorns. What the fuck? Pickle flavored pickles. What was that? What was that sentence, you guys?
In other news, the water is wet and the sky is blue. That's the kind of sentence you just said, Daku.
So if you guys come across them in the store, they are the King Hawaiian rolls, but they made little pretzel bites.
Yes,
Like soft pretzels. They're so
I got the salt
good.
one. I got the salt one. Oh my god. You can
But I
get
say,
like the only place that I could find them is actually Rayleigh's, like Rayleigh's and Bel Air. That's like the
they've
only
not
place I
had
could find
them. The last 2 times I went, I've been so
Oh
mad.
my god.
Because I got,
Ah.
well, I got some really good queso too. Like I got my queso for it, and every time I go for it, I just can't find them. And now I don't want any other soft pretzel, so
Yep.
I'm
Well,
ruined.
I do love my soft pretzels, but I do love my favorite soft pretzel place is actually like whenever I go to the mall, I'll always go to God, what is it? Is it Annie's?
Auntie Anne's?
Yep, that's my go-to.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Every time I go to the mall, I'll walk past the cinnamon, like I'll walk past the Cinnabon with no problems. Yes, it will smell good. Yes, I'll want it, but I will always get myself a gosh darn pretzel from Auntie Annie's. Like I would. Oh my
yeah.
god,
I love their pretzel
soft
bites.
pretzels.
I get the cinnamon sugar ones are so fucking good.
Yes.
I mean, the cheese one, the pretzel and just cheese is obviously delightful as well. You really can't fuck that up from them. Any pretzel you get is gonna be delightful. Oh, I'm sorry about your stomach.
Sorry about your tummy, Ocean.
But
Yes.
that and then the Pirate Booty white cheddar puffs.
I actually, the
are
first time
really
I had
good.
those was when I went to Jamba Juice. And did you guys know that I used to call it Jamba Juice? When I first came to the United States, I was laughed at by my friends because I wanted to go to Jamba Juice. And they're like, why do you say it that way? And I'm like,
Well, it's me because it's not my first
Jamba.
language, bitch.
Like,
What?
not only that, but I read it as Jamba because I
you
knew
ran it
jam.
phonetically.
I knew jam. So for me, I would say Jamba. And I was made fun of. And they're like, it's Jamba. And I'm all like, oh, so I used to call it Jamba. Sorry, guys. I didn't know any better. All right.
Oh, I did want to for the Exorcist, something that I watched that gave me a lot of the research that I did because it was actually surprising that there was information all over the place, and that was the problem is that a lot of the information when I looked it up was so scattered between different sources. But I found a film, or actually it's a TV series on Shudder, the app. It's like a horror movie streaming app, called, of course, it's a train called Cursed Films, and they have The Wizard of Oz, they have The Omen, The Exorcist, but that's what I watch. I'm so mad. They just wait. They know. They know when I'm doing
I
things,
know,
but
like you're like curse that train, and I'm like, is that a name of a
yeah.
movie? Is that a movie we haven't watched yet with cursed trains?
I highly recommend the series though. It's really good. Curse Films on Shudder.
Okay,
I
I'll
use
have to
that
do
for
it.
most of my research, and it has a lot of people. Like it has oh gosh, my brain is not braining right now. The woman that played Regan. It has a lot of the actors that were like there talking on it. Well, not like a lot, but a few of the actors that were actually there on set. And again, it's an older film now, so even she's older at this point. But yeah, it was very informative. It was very like well done. I really enjoyed it. Not super long either, like 30 minutes. So, and they have a bunch of different ones.
Ooh, yeah. For me, there's information all over the place about all the shit that happened on the Wizard of Oz set. It is very,
Yeah.
very popular, very talked with. Hello, Kate, my beautiful Kate. Mwah. Look, we got a Melty. We got a Melty with us. It's great. I love it so much.
This is why I'm not playing GTA right now. Hi.
I'm holding her
Oh, RP.
hostage. I'm holding
I've got a
her
gun to my head.
hostage.
Help! My bottle doesn't track my blinking because of my glasses, but I'm blinking in rapid succession.
She's fine. She's fine, you guys. She's fine.
She loves it.
She loves it here.
Expect her to deny
She loves
everything.
it. She never wants to
Expect
leave.
them to deny everything.
Uh-oh, Kate broke GTA.
Oh,
Oh,
you
GTA do
broke?
be breaking.
Damn.
So, did you know, prior to MGM, there were actually several attempts to make The Wizard of Oz like a movie production or like some kind of production that you can see in theater. And
I did
it
actually
was
know that one.
too expensive. Like they would
Mhm.
make these movies of The Wizard of Oz, and some of it was like animated, and it was just like it took a lot of work to make them, and then
Right.
like the kids weren't giving them the money that they wanted because the kids yet again only played a fraction of the cost, and so it was just not worth it, and they thought that it was never something that they could put onto film because every time they've tried it, because of how like how fantastic the story is and all the specific characters, it's something that they never thought would happen in film. So there was a time where this would have never existed because there was a point that they
Mhm.
gave up filming anything to do with the Wizard of Oz because they just weren't getting
Well, I
the
mean,
right recipe in.
even when they did do it, we saw how hard of a time they had
Mm-hmm.
creating the movie between the paint, and now they just started having Technicolor, so I couldn't imagine how much of a shit show it would have been if they would have tried before.
But what saved the Wizard of Oz film from finally happening is a lot of the people thought it wasn't worth it to make a movie out of it because it was more expensive to make this fantastic world for kids and you're not getting your payback. But they changed their mind after Walt Disney's Snow White was released. And they saw this animated film in color be presented so beautifully, and people were obsessed with the color. And because of the way the Snow White was, it wasn't just popular to the kids. Snow White appealed to kids and adults. And
Nice, yeah.
so, because of the popularity of Walt Disney's Snow White, MGM decided they're going to take another crack at The Wizard of Oz. And so that's why this project came to be. But it almost didn't exist because all the future attempts, or all the past attempts before this, had failed The Wizard of Oz. And so they really didn't believe that there was ever going to be a time that we would be able to put this in a theater setting or movie
Right.
setting, you know? So this film, like I said, used nothing but practical effects, which a really cool fact about this film is when you see Dorothy open that door and see the colorful world of Oz, to get that shot, they actually had the set painted in sepia tones, and then they had another actress and made her wear a dress that was sepia toned. And so it was already in color by that part, but everything in the set was painted to look like it wasn't. And so
Right.
when you open the door, you get to see the colorful world of Oz. And that's how they actually succeeded in that shot. Because people were like, how the hell did they do that? And I just thought it was really cool that they made a sepia tone set
Yeah.
so that they can give you that entry
Even
to
with all its
Oz.
issues, but say even with all its issues and a lot of the problematic bullshit, it had a lot of really cool, like, cutting edge for its time and industry changing things that they successfully did. Honestly.
Yeah. And another reason why I'm surprised that this film was made was it had 5 different directors.
Oof.
Yeah, it went
Yeah.
through 5 directors. You've got Marvin Leroy, who was a producer and wanted to direct the film, but they said it would be too much to do both parts. So he stepped down from being the director of The Wizard of Oz and just worked in the background as a producer. And he partially directed the film that way, but his focus was production and letting the directors do that. So the director that they chose was Richard Thorpe, who was the guy that had Dorothy with the blonde wig, baby doll dress,
Mhm.
glamorous makeup. And he had her talking like Snow White. He's like, you need to talk like a Disney princess. So Judy Garland's, like, the way it read was very, very fake because of the fact that the hair was blonde, the makeup was too glamorous, the baby doll dress, and then Dorothy,
Right.
Judy Garland, is speaking in this voice that is like a Disney princess voice. And they're like, she's from fucking Kansas. Why does she, like, it doesn't make
Right.
sense. And so for the first 2 weeks, Richard Thorpe, that was his idea for it. And that's when they fired him and had George Cucker as the interim director. And he's the one that looked at Dorothy and he's all like, no, this is wrong. I know this is not the way it's supposed to be. And so he said that Dorothy was too glamorous and and it wasn't the right look for a children's film because yet again this was being made for kids. And so he's just like, this is not what kids need to see as like Dorothy, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so he basically got rid of the blonde wig, had Judy Garland's brown hair. He put it in pigtails, and then he picked out the iconic dress that she wears for the film. And he also asked Judy to, instead of playing Dorothy as a Disney princess, he asked her to play Dorothy as more like who she was as a person, like who Judy Garland was. He's all like, make Dorothy your character, your Dorothy, be you to play Dorothy. And so he
Right.
felt like with those changes, it felt authentic and it made Dorothy kind of shine in a nice soft light on that. He also saw the yellow brick road and thought it looked really, really cheap. He said it looks like a cardboard that was painted yellow. And so because of that input, they redid the yellow brick road and gave it more of a brick look rather than a flat
Right.
thing. So the reason the freaking yellow brick road that we see in the film looks the way it does is because he's like, no, I don't like it to look like cardboard. It has to be like that. So
Right, it has to be like actual bricks.
yeah, so they had to redesign it to sell it and make it more realistic. Unfortunately, George Cukor was only there as an interim director, and he actually was removed from the project so he can actually film Gone with the Wind. So he was directing Gone with the Wind, and so they brought in Victor Fleming to take over the role of director, which Victor Fleming is what we know as the director for this film is, but he's the main director, but there was several directors behind this movie. So after that, Victor Fleming put most of his time in this project, its very last films, they actually moved him over to Gone with the Wind, because the way it worked is MGM produced 50 films within a year and just released them. And this was the year
Right.
that they were working on it. And they had the same directors and the same actors in contract. So they had to use those people for the films that they're filming. So it was very common for them to switch directors to go and take care of this project and that project and this project. So it was a very common practice for them to switch the director. And
Right.
so Victor Fleming filmed pretty much all the scenes that happen in Oz was filmed by Victor Fleming. And then the director that they brought in, which was King Vidor, he did all of the Kansas scenes. So he's the one that did all of the Kansas scenes when Dorothy wakes up back in Kansas and goes.
Right.
That was what he put into the film. So it went through 5 different directors. And so it's just like, wow. I'm like, the more I learned about this, the more I'm just like, how did this come to be? How did this come to be?
Right. It was plagued from the start, barely made it through production, but is one of the most historical films ever now.
Yes. So what is the song you remember when people talk about the Wizard of Oz? What's the song that comes to mind?
Probably the Yellow Brick Road.
Mine
Okay.
is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Or Off to See the Wizard, I think is actually
Yeah.
the one.
So
I'm thinking of.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow was actually won awards. The performance for Somewhere Over the Rainbow won awards. But did you know that it almost didn't make it into the Wizard of Oz?
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That
one of the
would've
most
been-
popular, beloved songs from The Wizard of Oz almost didn't make it in the film because MGM thought that the song slowed down the film too much from going to Kansas to Oz, because they wanted to go so much in the world of color that they felt like having Judy Garland as a farm girl singing next to a barn just wasn't like the direction that they wanted to go. They're like, it's not classy, it's not anything like that. And so they found it distasteful. So they almost removed it from film.
Interesting.
But
I bet they feel real silly now.
two of the executive producers threatened that they would quit. They would quit the film, they would quit MGM if they didn't keep this song in the film. And so MGM decided to let them have it and let them put the Somewhere Over the Rainbow in the film, which is one of its most popular and beloved songs to this day. And for them to think it was distasteful, I rewatched The Wizard of Oz. I
weird,
rewatched
man.
it like 3 times, like while doing my research. I rewatched it 3 times. And her in that scene, I found it so genuine and so beautifully shot that I'm all like, how could someone have looked at this and thought it was distasteful? Because for me, I'm looking at it and it's artistic. It's beautiful.
Okay.
It's simple. and it really sold the song. Like, I felt like it fit the song really well. So I am flabbergasted when I heard it almost didn't make it in this film.
Yeah, I really don't know what they were thinking with like that train of thought at all, honestly.
They wanted to get to Oz because
Couldn't
they
tell.
wanted
Weird.
to focus on the color of
They were crutching on the Technicolor real fucking hard.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
real
were.
hard.
Like, I feel like they did, like, because for them, they were just going to produce and then go, produce and go. Like, they're such a factory with releasing films, hoping that one will stick, that's kind of how they treated this, instead of, like, treating it, like, looking at it as something completely, like, I feel like they missed a lot of what made the movie what it is today.
Yeah, they weren't seeing the parts of it that were actually would become iconic.
So, did you guys know that Walt Disney tried to buy the rights for Wizard of Oz so he can make his own animated Wizard of Oz?
That didn't
And
surprise me.
they rejected his offer and didn't sell it. But imagine a Disney inspired Wizard of Oz. Like, I can't, like, just for me, like, I was surprised when they brought me to Wonderland, surprised when they brought me to Neverland, and I'm just like, damn, if Disney did Oz, that would have been so crazy. So that was a possibility that we could have had that never happened. But, you know, it is what it is. I just like, but yeah, I was surprised with how much Disney actually popped up in my research on this one. I did not expect Walt Disney, to make an appearance here, but hey, there he is. So, my last extra info about the Wizard of Oz, and another reason why I truly believe it was a cursed film set, is they deleted a lot of scenes to keep the film under 2 hours. And unfortunately, some of those scenes, even if they wanted to, they would not be able to produce because one of MGM's vaults caught fire, and a
Oh, wow.
lot of the lost footage from The Wizard of Oz, a lot of the scenes that they filmed that they removed, a lot of it was burned and lost. So we will never be able to see it. That the thing in the bolt had the jitterbug music number, and it had the version of Dorothy with the blonde hair. And so there was a lot of things that we will never see that was filmed, but because of a fire that happened in 1969, it's lost footage forever. And
It's literally lost footage now.
yeah, it's literally lost footage. It burned and it was gone from history, gone from
That's
everything.
insane.
And so that was in 1969, and that was literally probably around the time that they were probably considering like releasing more from this film, because that's around the time that it was like becoming popular, you know? So I just think it's absolutely crazy that this film should have never existed, and even more so that it was saved by television. But yeah, those are my extra information on The Wizard of Oz. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know pretty much any of that.
I like
There's
surprising
so
you.
much with it. I love it. But I say there's just so much that went into that I just never anticipated. You don't realize how in depth these things are, especially back when, making films was not easy or ethical.
Nope, definitely not
So
ethical.
that's just
So,
insane.
what do we think of West Virginia's cryptids? So, you discussed 3 of them. So, we've got that plus the
Sure did.
Mothman. And you're saying there's more, or is that it for West Virginia's
There,
cryptids?
there are plenty more. Let
Yeah.
me get you just a short list of
How is there so many
in
there?
the
It's a
goddamn-
hot zone, isn't it?
Probably is.
There's probably a
honestly.
lot of alien sightings that happen in this area too.
Well, we've got a lot of things like we got the Mothman, classic, everybody loves old boy. We've got the Flatwoods Monster, the Grafton Monster, like we talked about. We have the Blue Devil. We've got the Sheep Squatch. We've got the Snarly Yowl, Cumberland Dragon, Veggie Man, like we
Veggie
talked about.
Man.
And I shit you not, there is an honest to god cryptid named Batboy.
Love it.
I'm
On my
I'm
life.
a bat boy.
I'm calling dibs on Veggie
Yeah.
Man. I want to do research on Veggie Man. I'm calling dibs. I call dibs.
You can absolutely go
Yeah,
for
whatever.
it.
Call
Everyone heard
dibs. I call dibs
Good
on
job. Write
it.
that down.
You all heard.
I really do want to cover Veggie Man, but the other one that I find interesting is you said sheep squatch.
Sure did.
Is that like a Sasquatch that's a sheep?
What?
Is it like a brown hairy sheep that looks like Chewbacca?
Sorta, kinda. The cryptid wiki, if I pull it up real quick, it says it is also known as the White Thing. It's a woolly-haired cryptid reported across numerous counties in West Virginia, predominantly within the southwestern region of the state, so kind of near where I live.
Wow.
It is described as being a quadruped about the size of a bear, which with entirely white wool-like fur. It's got a long and pointed head similar to that of a dog, but with long saber-like teeth and a single set of horns not too dissimilar to those found on a goat.
I want a plushie.
Nice.
I want a plushie
Right,
so
but they sound
bad.
adorable.
Earliest one I can find is a 94 Navy seaman. Said he had witnessed the sheep squatch breaking through the forest. It breached the brush line and knelt to get some water from the creek, and drank for a few minutes before crossing the creek and continuing on towards the nearby road. Within the same year, 2 children observed the creature while playing in their yard in Boone County. What they reported having observed looked like a large white bear, but in this case was stood up on its hind legs, making it over 6 feet tall. Probably similar to, like, bears walking bipedally. Apparently it got spooked by the kids and ran off through the woods. There's another site in 95 where a couple driving through Boone County observed the beast sitting in a ditch by the roadway. They gave a description pretty similar to earlier sightings, but they added that the creature had 4 eyes.
Oh.
And it also states that instead of fleeing, the creature leapt out and started to attack the car. So they fucking dipped, and when they got home, they noticed they had some large scratches on the side of the car where the beast attacked it. There's another one in 99. Some campers out in Boone County heard an animal around the camp. Then it suddenly charged out of the darkness at the campers. They jumped up and ran inside. It stopped at the edge of the forest when they crossed it and let out a, quote, terrible scream. Then turned around and dipped off back into the woods. Next morning, campers returned to their campsite, found it torn up like someone had tilled it up for gardening. And apparently there was a sighting in 2015 over in Falks Run in Virginia. It was spotted close to midnight by 6 campers.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's,
the beast was
that's kind of
reportedly
recent for, like,
That's
I know
10 years
it's not
ago.
but it's recent for cryptid sightings. Oh my god, you guys, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
What is happening?
The beast was reportedly 8 to 9 feet tall, shoulder length of about 4 or 5 feet. Once the campers first saw the beast at the top of the nearby hill in a crouching position, and then it stood up, so he let everybody else know. Then it started running down the steep hill toward the campers, but they were separated by the river. It was trying to find a way across, but then decided to start to wade through the river. It finally came out the water, and the campers reported that it appeared like a bipedal dog in the chest, with its fur wet from the river crossing. Then a loud, gut-based screech was heard about 2 miles off from where they were. And then and this is what it says. Then the sheep squatch looked up in shock, just high enough so the moonlight was in its face, and the campers looked on in fear as it let out a pathetic whimper, then in a sprint ran in the opposite direction of the noise. So there's something else, apparently, that the sheep squatch is afraid of, according to that one.
Oh.
I don't know what I don't know, man.
I want to protect it. I know it's probably going to kill me, but I feel like if I give it love, it will love me back. It might love me back. It might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
it'll love me
also
back.
things called, like, the white things.
Yes.
There's something called, I know there's more.
Yep, you guys are crazy.
We got the Snallygaster, we got fucking the Rock,
Yeah, I'm reaching for cryptids where I live. I'm all like, where are the fucking cryptids at where I live? None.
Right.
Fucking none. No cryptids. God.
Like they're all in like the American Southwest, and then you get over here, and it's
Clearly.
like, oh hey, West Virginia. That's where they're all coming from. That's where the rift must be. All
That's home
right,
base.
cool.
Home base right
Yeah.
there. Do you have anything else to say about The Exorcist, my lovely, lovely waifu?
I really don't have much more to add to it, honestly. I mean, that was pretty much the real thick of it. Is just for me, I think it was a lot of neglect, and like you said, like with both of our movies, it was just of their times where there wasn't regulations, and a lot of sets could have been considered cursed because, well, they had a lot of cursed things happening clearly. Uh, especially, between practical effects and mean directors, man. But no, that's pretty much all I had.
I hope you guys had fun with the topic, and I hope you guys thank you for hanging out. This is a
I
long
think it was
one.
fabulous.
I knew it was going to be a long one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I said, The Wizard of Oz, I went
Don't
crazy. I
apologize.
had
it was so
I had
much cool
6
I got work
pages
information.
tomorrow.
of
I don't care.
notes.
I do. But
Well,
I
Alright.
I
do.
mean,
I do
I
too.
mean,
But say yeah, it's 11:30 here. I
Yeah,
gotta be up
so
at 7.
let's go ahead and do our little outro.
I don't gotta be up. But...
So our outro, I'm gonna say "will stay thick," and then Melty's going to say and then Meso's going to say "you stay spooky." So are we ready for our outro, you guys? Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready?
Oh
All right.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Are
again
you
for
ready?
being here, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you,
Melty.
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks, y'all.
We're gonna find someone to raid to, but we're gonna do our outro and then we'll raid afterwards. All right. So hang in there. Don't leave yet. All right, you guys ready?
Okay.
Paranoid.
All right, you ready? You ready? Okay, here we go. Will stay thick.
And
You stay spooky.
All right, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the topics. What did you guys think of the topics that we had? Did you guys know all that information about the Wizard of Oz? Because
I learned so much cool information, dude, for real.
asbestos sucks.
Yeah, I would say asbestos sucks, and they did not know how to
Don't
make
like
safe
that.
paint.
Aluminum is really bad for the human body. You
Yeah,
probably
don't put that
shouldn't
shit on
eat
your
it.
skin.
Yeah.
Or put it on your skin. Yeah, don't do that either.
Don't do that. Don't use green copper makeup either. Also,
Avoid
don't
practical
play with
effects
fire.
of fire. Yeah, I
Don't
was about to
play
say
with
avoid
fire.
practical fire effects.
So, all right, let's go ahead and get this raid. I've got the pod message raid over there. We're going to take this over to someone doing some music. We're going to take it over to Arcade Chris, show him a little love,
Whoop, 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 whoop.
and we will see you guys on the next one. I love y'all. I really appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's get this raid set up, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for my Cyberpunk stream. So let's go ahead, copy and paste that message, and we're going to raid in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Choo choo.
And